And what kind of player am I? Am I an offensive man or a defensive man? That's right, I'm neither. I play. And what kind of player am I? Am I an offensive man or a defensive man? That's right, I'm neither. I play my opponent. If he likes to attack, I force him to defend himself. If he's a cautious man, I draw him into dangerous waters. See, you get so frustrated playing defensive positions, you make stupid moves you never make if you were thinking. When you come here, boy, check that shit at the door,
I'm at the top of my game, cut the check. Somebody better king me, I'm the best. Let's play a game of checkers. Better yet, the game don't love nobody. Let's play chess.
I keep forgetting when I'm in love anymore. I keep forgetting.
All right. Let's see. We're starting a little bit early today. Today I have my guest is going to be Pod Wasted. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I know I did. Pretty much sat, chilled with the family, had a lot of fun. Thanks to COVID-19, family scattered all over the place. Couldn't really do a whole lot. Here goes. My guest just popped on. Had a nice Thanksgiving. Got to get fat stuff. Here we go with Pod Wasted, host of the Wasted Talent podcast. How you doing, Jonesy?
What's going on, brother?
Else.
It's all good, man. Now the Pod Wasted, that's the Twitter handle, but you not go by Jonesy. You know.
Well, I want people to be able to find you on Twitter too.
Nah, I appreciate you, brother. How are you today? How was your holiday?
Not bad. Got fat. I did a lot of cooking yesterday. Me and my wife basically went 50-50 in the kitchen. Of course, my bigger responsibility is the turkey and the mashed potatoes. And we didn't do collards mostly because we had to cut down what we cook, because now we have an issue of being able to fit all the leftovers in our damn refrigerator, because we COVID couldn't have a whole bunch of people over. Some people are sick and other people are out of town and can't be in here. So it's just you know how it is. The apocalypse destroyed everything.
You know, it's very alarming the way that the information is being disseminated about COVID-19. You know what I mean? It's almost like, you know, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You know, and you don't want to be the person to try to like buck the trend and say, you know what, this is all bullshit. I'm gonna do things my way, and then you wind up like one of those families you see in the news where 15 people got it and people got, you know, deathly ill. It's almost like, you know, if they put information out there, they should wait until they have the whole picture, you know, like, because it keeps changing, it keeps morphing into something else. And then, you know, they're like, all right, we're going to lock down for a certain amount of time. We lock down for a certain amount of time. Nothing's changed. Then, you know, people say, you know what, I'm going to have a cognitive dissonance about this. I'm just going to go out here. I'm going to live my life. Then the numbers go up. And then we got to ask ourselves, are the numbers going up, or do we have more testing readily available? Are people dying from COVID, or do you have situations where, you know, you got people who falling off of a ladder, and then people will say, well, you know, this guy had COVID in his lungs and that's why he fell off of the ladder, and not the fact that he fell 51 feet and hit the ground. So it's just, I don't know, man. It's very Orwellian the way all of this is gumming down, you know?
Yeah. They politicized it to the point where we can't even have a normal conversation about all this.
Not at all.
I mean, hydroxychloroquine was something we've been taking for 60 years. I mean, the military takes it every time we basically go to a foreign country, south of the equator. So this ain't something that's going to kill you off. I mean, I'm I think probably one of the few people that's actually allergic to it. I can't have it. However, it's not something that's actually going to kill you, but yet it wasn't the fact that they said it showed promise. It was who said it showed promise. And before
Yeah.
Dr. Fauci got to say it, Donald Trump said it, and then Dr. Fauci said it after, reconfirmed it. But that because everybody is, fanboy politics, we either hate or love the man. That it got taken to the everyone that loved him went, oh my God, this is the cure. The conservative Jesus has cured us, and everybody that hates him was like, oh my God, he's a devil and he's trying to kill everybody because it's not 100% effective for everyone. And then
Yeah, that's a huge problem.
Too.
That's
With
a
the mask
huge
too.
problem.
It was like Trump's not wearing a mask. I ain't wearing a mask. Screw this shit. And then it was like, oh well, the mask. But because Trump's not wearing a mask, everyone has to wear a mask, or we're all going to die. If you're not wearing a mask, you're a murderer. And then it was like, we're going to listen to Dr. Fauci today, but we ain't going to listen to him tomorrow. He says, y'all can go vote in person. No, we ain't going to listen to that because we made up our minds in March that voting in person was not possible. Apparently everybody that voted in person already dead. Like since the pandemic started, I died like 10 times.
Yeah, and it's the problem with American politics now is that we've lost the ability to see the hypocrisy in the side that we support. Like politics, people thought that politics were linear, and politics aren't linear anymore. They're secular now.
Yeah.
So you go so far to the left or the right that you wind up in one big circle and you're right on the same side of things. And with Donald Trump and this whole new way that we've had to adapt to like this neo-personalist style of rule, it's been very damaging because like on the Republican side, Republicans must pay strict attention to the far right. Because if they don't, if you're a rank and file Republican and you don't pay attention to the far right, you're not going to win.
Yeah.
And then Donald Trump is a bit of a kingmaker. He's kind of hijacked the Republican Party. So you don't really have a conservative base anymore in the party. It's almost like, this is no longer Barry Goldwater's Republican Party. You know what I mean? The 1964 conservative movement that was strengthened by Reagan in the 1980s is gone.
Well,
now it's a hollow shell.
I think we ended up getting sort of like, you get what you ask for. And you get the conservative base that during 2010, we're like, oh my God, all right, Obama pissed us off, so we're going to take it all back. We're going to take it all back, and we're going to stop this dude from doing shit, right? And that populist movement wrote in a lot of Tea Party people that ended up, a lot of people glommed onto that movement. And for anyone that did any actual research in Tea Party, it's not a whole bunch of white supremacists. There were people that it was a movement of people that it was basically a populist movement, and people were pissed that the establishment within the Republican Party continues to get voted into office and lie to us and then do exactly what they say they're not going to do when they get to office. And then you look at all their voting records and they're like 90% with Democrats on just about everything. And you're like, well, what the hell did I vote for you for? So then you get Donald Trump comes on the scene 2015, and he's the culmination of frustration. Basically, we watched 19 people on that stage that year. There were only a few from outside the political establishment within the party.
Very, very few.
And I mean, I think out of the people that I could count, I had Ben Carson and I had Donald Trump. Two people from outside the political establishment that were running, and everybody else, I'm like, y'all are career politicians. You're a part of the problem. You're exactly the people we're trying to get rid of. I don't want you. So I voted for Trump in 2016 because I saw what the man was. I mean, I studied Trump when he was a businessman, and before he ran for office, he was a wrecking ball to any industry, any room he happens to walk into. Is a dude that you love to hate or you hate to love. And that dynamic is powerful. And when he walked on that stage, as soon as everyone started making jokes about him, I was like, y'all watch, because this dude, I hadn't supported him yet, I mean, I wasn't a forever Trumper or a never Trumper. I was like, I try to make intellectual decisions, like a normal, working, functioning adult. And when he walked on stage, I'm like, all right, so I got my populist rhetoric, and I got a little bit more pragmatism than I'm getting with anybody else. And um, then he started talking shit, which I was like, to me personally, I was like, I like I like shit talkers.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with a shit talker. I think that's something that the entire political mainstream can't handle. A dude that is going to give it back to you just as much as you dish it out.
Yeah.
Uh, but
Yeah.
at the same time, he never sort of matured into an actual. Uh, he was always the populist. He was always the counter puncher, but he never matured into anything more to where I could really say that he grew into the role.
See, the thing is that for me, America has devolved into this like echo chamber of voters who are one issue voters.
Yeah,
And I believe the rise of Donald Trump is a symptom of the fact that people had an issue with having 8 years of a black president, right? A supposed with black skin, right? So you have some of those people who, we look and see, this is the thing, man. What I try to bring to the table is a balanced look at things. I can't say that everybody who voted for Trump voted for him for that. You have some people who, gun rights are paramount to them. You have some people who he resonates with them because they're business owners and they respect the fact that he's a businessman. You had other people who, he had people in his campaign who kind of tapped into certain rhetoric that could be considered racist. You know what I mean? And you had some people where that resonated with them as well. So the thing is that we have to look at Donald Trump as the sum of his parts. And to me, I respected the way that he pulled himself up and put himself into the political arena. But there's a certain part of me who thinks that, being president is an entry level position, man. I feel like, on some level, you have to have governed in some kind of way because you need to know the rules. You need to know the trappings. And there's a certain manner of the process that you need to be familiar with. You know what I mean? You got to know what you can and what you can't do, because when it comes to being president, the difference between a president and an autocrat are the rules. You know what I mean? And the rules got to matter on some level. Now, what I think that we've lost the ability to is for Republicans and Democrats to stop this antagonistic stance that they take when they go to govern. Because now we've taken this stance after the Obama, and I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of the fact that Donald Trump got elected was because this country is inherently we're more chauvinistic than we are racist. You know what I mean? Like I really believe that. I believe that, had anyone else ran against Donald Trump that was a man, they probably would have won. You know what I mean? Because it was just such a radical idea to elect a man who had never held any kind of office. Like, people try to compare Trump to Reagan, but Reagan was the governor of California. He had a proven track record of being in government. You know what I mean? Even though his the genesis of him is an actor. You know what I mean? But he actually was a real Republican. You know what I mean? He actually was in the political arena for a long time before he ever became president. And that's why he did well. And I think with Donald, Trump, I think there's some things that he's done well. I think there's some places where he missed the mark, but I feel because of the way that he's been canonized and idolized, man, that you can't get a fair and balanced point of view. So where people that are on his side can still hold him accountable without being vilified. And where people who aren't on his side can criticize him for not being criticized for being stupid either. I just feel like there's a certain amount of balance that we're missing now in politics that has to come back in some way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? Yeah,
we ended up electing a guy that, like I said, I want a wrecking ball, because I see the entire discourse, no matter who gets elected on either side, I see the same shit transpiring generation after generation, administration after administration. And you get those few people that throw a wrench in it, like JFK in the 60s,
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan in the 80s, and Donald Trump today, who I'm going to be honest, couldn't have got without Barack Obama, who was not a wrench to the entire Washington establishment per se, but he was a wrench to the establishment of the Democratic Party because he was not the one that they chose.
Yeah.
I don't think remember that originally the entire Democrat establishment was behind Hillary, and Barack Obama was a popular president.
1,000%. They were behind her. They did everything they possibly could to shove that square peg into the round hole. They did everything they possibly could, and they tried to do it again. You know what I mean?
That's where the whole that whole birther shit came from.
It's from her. And
and
they blame. See, the funny thing is, people forget,
it was
man.
top research, and it was on the news for like months and months and months before Donald Trump even said anything about it.
People forget that Donald Trump and the Clinton family were like this. They were tight. He used to go to all their parties, and all of these people. You got guys like, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, who was at Trump's wedding. You know what I mean? They were cool with this dude, right? And now he's on the other side of things. Now all of a sudden he's the Antichrist. And that's not the position that you can take when you're governing. You can't take that position, man. You have to have, and this is what's being lost because of social media, because of the 24-hour news cycle, because of, our news channels not having the burden of proof to not, politicize and kind of, oh my God, it's like with the fairness doctrine is I'm at a loss of words. I'm sorry, man. But, what we have now is that we don't have actual news. There's no rules for them to be factual. You know what I mean? So they can turn our news into straight propaganda. And now we've gone out of control. And what needs to happen for the good of the country is we need to come back to the middle. And that's one of the reasons why you have, me doing what I do, you doing what you do, Felicia Killings, all these people. You got the Hoteps doing what they're doing, because there has to be this kind of underbelly of the country that gives people an unabashed opinion that is based in facts. Yeah.
I think we got because you mentioned the 24-hour news cycle and the media and everything, and I dig in that a little bit deeper. My biggest thing that I see with the media is a lack of intellectual honesty and intellectual consistency, where there are two ways to achieve intellectual honesty in journalism or in anything. That I was taught was you can either, one, make your bias explicit. Make your bias explicit, which gives the reader or viewer the opportunity to discount anything and everything that you say based on what they know about you.
The Rush Limbaugh school of thought.
Yeah, and then you call it down the line of what you see from your perspective. And that's fine, because you're making it clear that, hey, I'm not giving you just the straight facts. There is bias involved in here. Discount me as much as you want to. And I respect that, because you're at least being honest with me. You're not going to piss on me and call it rain. And then you got the other side of it, where it's like, all right, I am not going to give you my bias. I'm not going to take one side or the other. I'm going to go strict down the line facts. I'm not going to omit facts, and I'm not going to only skew the facts in a way that supports my own desired conclusion. I'm just going to give it to you straight, to the point where you can't even figure out where the hell I lie. And the people who know me have to wonder, wait a minute, I thought this dude was a liberal or a conservative, but now he's saying this. I don't know what the hell is going on with this guy. So there's two different ways to achieve that intellectual honesty. And honestly, I don't see either one being used a whole lot. I mean, I see very few people going, hey, I'm biased. Take it as you will. I see a lot more people going, no, I'm not biased at all. I'm not biased at all. Donald Trump is Hitler. Donald Trump is Hitler. Barack Obama is Hitler. Everybody I don't like is a socialist or a communist or a neo-Nazi or an Antifa. It's like, I'm not biased, but everyone that disagrees with me is evil.
Yeah. And see, that's by design, man. because what winds up happening is you have this populist kind of underbelly of America, and the people who actually make up America are us. We're America. Like people think that America is like this like separate entity for themselves. You know what I mean? But we are America. And what happens is we wind up fighting with each other on social media, at work, whatever, man. You know, and then what winds up happening is we're fighting against each other, and the people who are really in control, they're sitting here raiding the cupboard right in our face. They're raiding the cupboard right in our face. And right now, what we have going on now with this vaccine, with COVID, with the numbers, with the way that they disseminate not even disseminate the information, but the way that they, you know, send the information out is very, very damaging, bro, because you have certain states who are wide open right now, right? And then you have other states like California, New York, New Jersey, you know, where things are either shut down or they're getting shut down. And who stands to benefit from everyone being in the house and only being able to order things offline? Big business.
Yeah.
That's it. You know, I mean, they're Amazon, Walmart, Target, all these companies have set record numbers this year. And what winds up happening is they've learned that the business model of them having a brick and mortar building isn't even, you know, feasible anymore. Everything is online now, bro. And you got people who say, well, you got to improve your skill set. And you had Rahm Emanuel said, oh, we need to get people who work behind the register coding classes. It's like, douchebag. If everybody's special, nobody's special. Like certain people who work behind a register in a shop, right, might not have the fucking ability to even get out of 3 days of a coding class. You know what I mean? Everybody's skills lie in different areas. In a society, you're only as strong as the foundation of your society. And the foundation of a society is your skilled and unskilled workworkforce. And what they're doing is,
I'm not going to lie, the fact that anybody on the left still listens to Rahm Emanuel is weird to me, because last time I checked, that dude had to be run out of his own damn city. He like presided over every horrible policy that you could possibly think of and was involved with half a dozen different scandals. I'm like, you a Democrat that got run out of arguably one of the bluest cities in the damn state. And it was because you were so far left that you weren't even realistic anymore. You made
Emanuel's a hack. He's a hack.
He is. He's a complete hack. He exemplifies he's everything. You know what? He's like the left's Mitt Romney. He's like that he's that dude. He's that guy that
I wouldn't even insult Mitt Romney like that. I wouldn't even insult Mitt Romney like that. I have infinitely more respect for Mitt Romney than I do Rahm Emanuel. Seriously, Rahm Emanuel is a complete hack. He should never hold any government office ever again, man. And if you look at the way,
a lot of balls to stand on stage and be like, chaos and disasters are a chance for us.
When you were the mayor of Chicago.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like,
bro.
You got the balls to really say, and now you're seeing it. People are saying this shit out loud, and I'm like, well, where do we go where you can sit on stage and be like, hey, the chaos and everybody dying is a great chance for us to reshape society. Yeah. Pop this pill and stay quiet, please.
Look, man, you know what the thing is, man. It's not about what it actually is. Perception has become a lot greater of a tool than the actual reality of things in society today. You know, we have a like even you know, to take it off of politics, right? Like even in music and entertainment, there was a time where for you to be a person that was a star, you had to have an exceptional skill set. You had to be a great singer, you had to be a great rapper, or you had to be a great dancer, or you had to be one of these people who are really good at all those things. And you put it together and you become a star. You had to be good looking, you had to do all this stuff. Now you don't have to do that. All you have to do is have a bunch of Instagram followers, get a fake ass, get fake breast, right? Go on a reality show, get a group of writers, get a group of hot producers, and now you're a star, right?
Yeah.
So that's how it is. You got guys that are running around claiming they're the greatest rapper in the country, and it's a well-known fact that they have a team of writers. You got you got one of the most popular comedians in the game right now, Kevin Hart, who has a team of writers. Like not like, you know, Richard Pryor used to have Paul Moody who used to like format his jokes and write down the stuff he said. But
yeah,
that was Richard Pryor. It wasn't like, you know, like Dave Chappelle comes out, he went away for years. He's been doing clubs for years. And now he keeps hitting us with all of these Netflix specials because that was the plan, right? But Dave Chappelle doesn't just come out with stuff. And then you got a guy like a Kevin Hart who will be in every movie in Hollywood and still has the time to do a comedy special. It's not possible, bro. It's not possible.
I'm gonna say I used to love Kevin Hart, and it was because his jokes were personal. It was about his family. It was about his wife, his kids. It was a type of, you know, being the dad type of shit that people can relate to. I mean, like, it reminds me of like old school Eddie Murphy, Raw, Delirious.
Old school Bill Cosby.
Old school Bill Cosby. Friggin' even Richard Pryor, early Richard Pryor. Hey, George Garland. That sort of reel where you could just go up on, in old school Dave Chappelle, you just go up online and just spit for a minute about your life, and you were just a funny guy. People laugh because they can relate to it, they understand. But then you start to see the jokes change and shit, which brings me to the epitome of what I thought was a disappointment out of all the comedy specials was the Marlon Wayans special that came out this past year.
Oh man, he's a bro. Let me just say this, man. The Wayans brothers, right? The only one who is a real stand-up comedian is Damon. Damon is a genius. He's the funniest one in the entire family. Marlon and Sean, Keenan's was a genius in a way where, you know, writing and producing and bringing content and stuff like that. But Damon is the star.
He's got a big picture. Keenan got a big picture mindset. He's got that. He's got that 100,000 foot view where you can see he could play society and make us all laugh at shit. And yet we still somehow walk out of the theater not realizing we were just laughing at ourselves for 2 hours.
But Marlon, to me, was never a stand-up comedian. He's not funny. Just to me, man. I feel like he's lampooned himself to a point where he's almost, you know, the inner coon has come out of him. And now this guy is going way too beyond being a comedian at this point. He's a caricature of a comedian at this point. So I don't want to. I'm not a fan of that dude, man. But you know, I mean, not to take this conversation into, you know, this is the blue collar intellectual show. This is it. I don't want to take it into the basement on you, bro. You know.
Well, you know what? It's talking about culture is what makes this shit different. It's what makes our shows different, because we're not going to get rid of our culture to get down to the meat of what's going on in society right now. And I think getting rid of our culture to sort of make these points and stuff, I think is a failing. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a conservative. I don't identify as a Republican because I'm not a corporate entity like that. So,
bro, you know what? Not to cut you off, bro, but you know what I love about you and what I love about Felicia and Sonny and all like that crew, man. Just for me, see me, I'm a political renegade. I feel like it's dangerous for people of color, Black people, to have any sort of party allegiance. I feel like it's dangerous. It's dangerous. I feel like if you have an ideology, that is what you follow. And whoever's plan closely lines up with your ideology, that's the place where you go. But I believe the difference between the Black community and every other community in this country is that we just blindly give our allegiance to the Democratic Party. Ever since Lyndon Johnson. Uncle Hotep says this all the time, man. he always says this all the time, man.
To be honest, I'm gonna even going to push back on that, because it actually started way before Lyndon Johnson. And this is something. There's this woman on. I'm assuming it's a woman based on the syntax that she uses when she types, and the style that she types in. There's a little bit more elegance there than the average man. So she Black conservative on Twitter, and she is, oh man, she posts facts all day long about the lily white Republican movement. And I say lily white Republican movement because it was a party thing. It was not really a conservative ideological thing, because if it was conservative, it never would have happened. This is where I say I'm a conservative, not a Republican, because anybody can put an R in front of their name. Perfect example, Mitt Romney. However, it takes principle to be a conservative. It takes principle to be that political renegade, which I would have played renegade coming onto the show if I knew you were going to say that too. But it takes something. It takes a grit to stick to an ideology and be able to hold the people that are even your allies. It's like they say, the family, your family are the people who will challenge you. They love you to death, but they will challenge you and force you to be better. And this is where we are right now, where I think too many people rock party logos over rock ideology, which if you start to get down to the principles of liberalism, or I say progressivism, versus, because I'm not going to use liberalism, there's a long history of that term and it doesn't necessarily fit either party at this moment.
Not right now.
I think the closest party that liberalism fits to is probably the Libertarian Party, because they're like so damn liberal that they're damn near anarchist at this point.
But is that a bad thing?
I'm going to say it depends on how you define anarchy, because I see that thrown out there a whole lot lately.
Have you ever listened to Chad Lemoyne's show, Aquarian Anarchy?
Yeah, he is great. I love his shit. I mean, I want to have him and Chad and Larry Sharp and Maj Toure all on the show, and Olivia Rondo, and I want to get a libertarian panel and let them all, because I don't think people get a good idea of what libertarianism is. Mostly because they get caricatures based on where you already happen to be residing within the political spectrum and what vantage point you're looking at people from.
Yeah, but those guys have changed my view on what it is to be an anarchist. And I feel like a lot of, my views, because I've always considered myself a conservative as well, because a lot of people don't realize, man, just to speak, look, and I don't always want to make everything about black and white, because to me, race is a social construct. You know what I mean? Because what do you say to somebody who's multiracial? You love your mother, you love your father, your dad's black, your mom's white, right? So how do you just go into a booth and just check a box and say, I'm one thing? You're both.
I'm right. I'm perfect example of that. Like, I'm biracial. My dad is like a 6'3" Italian and Irish guy who's been with black women literally his entire life. Like, he is the archetype of once you go black, you don't go back. And then my mom is a short little black woman from her dad is from the islands and her mom is ADOS. And like, I don't fit into any neat box, but at the same time, I go with black because that's where I'm accepted at, and that's where I find the least amount of resistance. And because the fact is, people see the one drop rule. They see the color and they go, what are you? And I end up with the I'm mixed, and I'm mixed black and white, and I look Puerto Rican or Dominican, and if I grow out my hair before it hits fro level, I'll look Arabic. So
basically, and this is the thing, that was something that was driven and constructed from society. When to be honest with you, we should focus on individualism. You know what I mean? And being inherently human. That's what I think. But listen, I understand the way the world is set up. So we know that we have to pick a brand. We got to pick a box. So I'm going to speak for that. For me, right? For me, I'm about, love, peace, and freedom. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, when it all comes down to it, it's all about love, peace, and freedom, man. I just don't want to be told that I can't do certain things. You know what I mean? As long as as long as I'm not hurting anybody, I'm not trying to do anything that's damaging anybody. I just want to be left the fuck alone, man. Let's just call it a spade. I don't want somebody to tell me that I got to take a vaccine to get on a plane or to work. You know what I'm saying? If I got enough land, if I want to hunt deer on my land, I should be able to hunt deer on my land. if I'm not hurting anybody, if people are further enough away from me with no one to catch a fucking bow and arrow or something like that. And I'm not a hunter, but I'm just saying, I like that is what I think that we need to strive for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We need to strive for us to be able to have control over our own bodies and our own minds, man. And I feel like the last piece of that is our bodies. You know, after 9/11, everybody got see, you're a little younger than me, but 9/11 happened. You were probably about like 10 years old, right?
I think I was 8th grade, something like that.
8th grade. So it's a little different. I was an adult when 9/11 happened, you know, and
Okay.
and I remember the world before that, like vividly. Like I remember, you know, not having to fucking sign over my oldest child just to go look on Pinterest. You know what I mean? Like you, at any website you go, you got to hit this little box, and it has this big legal jargon and all of this. No, I remember that. I remember going to an airport and walking up to the gate and giving them my ticket and not getting molested and having to take my shoes off. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And now, when it happened, and I remember saying this to my friends, I was like, listen, man, you can't get that genie back in the bottle. Once you put the government in your life, you give them an inch, they're going to take more than a mile. They're going to take 50 miles. And that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And what people don't understand what's going on right now is that the last piece of your liberty and your sovereignty is your own body. And, and eventually we will not have control of that. So what I try to get across is I try to bring information to my community. Like Jay-Z said, you know what I mean? I know there's bigger issues in the world I know, but I first have to take care of the world I know. Right. So that's what I try to do. And if other people listen, I'm receptive to that, because I'm not just the kind of guy that just wants to get on here and just talk about, you know, just my race, because we're all the human race, right? But I have to come out here and I got to make sure that I'm an example to the people in my community, man, the people that are around me. So, you know, that's why, you know, it's funny, man, because I had no idea that, you know, Adam Curry from MTV, because I remember when he was on MTV, I had no idea, you know, in my ignorance, people probably gonna like, you know, get rid of me on Twitter, but I didn't know that he was the person who started the podcast. I had no idea. I just remember him from MTV. That's how old I am, right? And I didn't know that people called him the Podfather. So I had no idea.
So your name is like a homage to him.
Yeah, I had no idea, and now it is, because when I start calling myself the Podfather, I'm figuring, well, you know what, man, let me make a play on the Godfather, right, or something like that, right? and then people are like, oh, this guy, who's this guy calling himself? I'm like, oh, whoa. I'm not the Podfather. I am Jonesy the Podfather. There's a difference. And freaking, and Chad was breaking my chops. He was like, yeah, you're like that guy on Office Space, Michael Bolton.
Oh, God.
Chad was breaking my chops, but you know, I mean, listen, man. When it comes down to it, man, I'm just trying to get into this thing, man, to help bring along the next generation. You know, help, you know, show them that there's more than one way to skin a cat, and you don't got to get on social media and act like an asshole, and you don't have to be this low information kind of person to succeed. And what is success? There are a lot of people that really think they're successful, and they're not, man. You got guys that are famous as hell and they can't rub two nickels together. You know what I mean?
I mean, you know, that brings me to something. There's this, and this isn't a left-right thing. This is an elitist thing. There was a Democrat. I can't remember her name. I probably looked it up before coming on this damn show. She wrote a letter to the Democrats, or if I remember correctly, it's over a phone call or whatever. But she was basically saying, it was the one that said, "Don't ever say socialism again." I had to defend my seat and damn near lost because y'all were repping socialism, and she you know, she is going after the squad, and she also wrote a letter, and she was basically saying that the difference between Trump and between the people on the left, and I see this not as a difference between Trump and the people on the left, between Trump and damn near everybody sitting behind a microphone at any news station, in any office nationwide. The reason why people either love or hate this dude is the talking down to the people that you were talking to. my example would be how they speak about us. The Don Lemon and
Yeah.
a couple other pundits, they were doing that whole, oh, these dumb country rubes and this and that, and when they talk about black people, we're all thugs. When they talk about friggin' Trump supporters, they're all Klansmen. When they talk about feminists, it's not the normal average day, I'd say first or second wave feminists. It's the third, fourth waves feminists, the taking it to that next level. So it's always the worst possible stereotype that can be applied, not necessarily based in reality. And it's always this, we're above you and you should just shut up and get in line and listen to what we're saying. Our plans would work if you would stop acting like a variable in this equation and be a damn constant, so that we can move you around the chessboard like a pawn, instead of you being a knight or a bishop trying to make shit happen.
Yeah, man. Listen, the thing that has always turned me off about the Democratic Party, and it's the reason why I think we need to vote across party lines, is because I look at the relationship between our community and the Democratic Party like someone who's in an abusive relationship.
Yep.
Where you have the abusive guy who's saying, listen, you're nothing. You ain't never going to lead me anywhere. You know you ain't going nowhere. And us being the woman is staying in that abusive relationship. There has to be some reciprocity, man, when you are putting your political alignment behind a party, man. And what we do is we keep filling up that drum, filling it up and filling it up and filling it up, and we never get anything back. And the thing is that the reason why we don't is because the Republicans know that we're not fucking with them. And the Democrats know no matter what, even Joe Biden going up there, all of the racist talking points, all of the nonsense, man, all of the things that he said, man, just even going on a Breakfast Club and saying, you know, if you don't vote for me, you're not black, or him refusing to go on there first and then talking to fucking Cardi B as if she speaks for us as a people. As opposed to speaking to somebody that has like a platform that deals with in that kind of arena. And there's nothing, no disrespect to Cardi, you know what I'm saying? But she's not exactly the first person that I think of when I think of an intellectual person. And I don't think that because she's ghetto that she's stupid, because apparently she's not. She's got a lot more money than me, you know what I mean? And she's doing very, very well, you know. But the thing is, I wouldn't think that would be the first person from our supposed community that you would want to talk to. So to me, that offended me more than anything Trump's ever done.
But well, she actually reached out to the Biden campaign, which, you know, the way I looked at it from a business perspective, she reached out to me. She has a platform that in a single interview can reach 10 times as much as the biggest mainstream media outlet. So I look at it like I've seen ratings from all the mainstream media, and they're all absolutely pathetic by comparison to what Cardi B's Twitter can reach, or what a podcast with, say, Ice Cube, or interview with Charlamagne the God on the Breakfast Club, or any of these people, mostly because they got a platform. And while they may not be the authority politically, they're people that I looked at. Cardi as she admitted she was not politically savvy. She admitted that she needs to do more research before jumping in to these deep shark-infested waters, and I can respect that. So basically, she was lending her platform. As Joe Biden, I don't know how you refuse that offer.
But see, the difference is that he made no attempt to reach out to any rank and file media that was in and from our community. You didn't see one. Like you didn't see an interview with Tavis Smiley, or I mean anybody. You know what I'm saying? Roland. You know, I'm not a huge Roland Martin guy. I'm just saying, right? But the thing is that the only thing he did was pander.
Yeah.
And grift. That was the whole campaign, bro. It was pandering and grifting. Yo, listen, man, like the brothers are saying, man, Hotep's been told you, man, not to keep shouting them out, but I got to always shout out the brothers, man, you know?
Oh, man, his podcast is great.
Yo, excellent, right? And, you know, my homeboy, all of that. But the thing is, yo, grifting season is not just right now. Grifting season is in full effect forever at this point, bro. You got dudes that are sitting up here, man, and grifting their way into a career without having any talent. Any talent, bro. Like on the MAGA side, like they gotta kick some of them fucking guys out of there too. You got that Elmer Fudd grifter. What the hell's this dude's name? The comedian dude with the Elmer Fudd hat. He's that the Elmer Fudd MAGA hat.
Was it Terrence Wilson or whatever his name is?
Bro, that dude, man. What a fucking clown, bro. This guy has a career.
You know what? I looked at him when he started having his mental breakdown. I'm like, are you trying to be the next meme of somebody screaming at the damn sky and shit? Is that what you're trying to do? Because I don't see this. If you're just trying to grift, I don't see this as being productive towards your grift. If you're pissed because your grift is over, cry in a closet, man. I mean, seriously.
Bro, look, the grift don't stop.
Trump is your grift.
It don't stop. You just gotta know how to ride the wave different, man. If the surfboard break, go get a boogie board. You know what I mean? So now, like people don't understand something, man. They're canonizing Trump and they're putting all of their faith in one guy, right? But the thing is that what happens after this, man? Because there has to be an end to this, right? Like even if he was, by some stretch of the imagination, he was able to do like Bloomberg did in New York and get rid of term limits, and he becomes FDR and he's president for 12 years and then he dies, right? It has to end, right?
By the way, I would not advocate for that in any way, shape, or form. I am totally against political dynasties. I think they're destructive to just about everything. People no longer think like adults and no longer use critical thinking. It's just like, that's the popular guy. Let's keep voting for him. It's literally who wants to be class president? Promise free shit. Once free ice cream is on the table, that's it. Once free ice cream's on the table, that's it. Once you start friggin', it's like, and I'd say the free ice cream are the MAGA rallies right now. Now, as a dude that supported Trump, hey, you know what? I went to a couple because before I supported him, I wanted to know what the shit was like. People kept saying it was like a Klan rally, and I'm like,
nah,
really?
I don't see that.
Like, I grew up when I was in Dayton, Ohio. The Klan actually marched through downtown Dayton. They were active Klan chapters. These weren't like, oh man, you got to go back in the woods and you got to find these people. Like, no, they had a rally and they tried to march through the damn city. I'm like, that's a whole different sort of mentality. So when like people are like, damn, all these Trump supporters and this is the new Klanshood, I'm like, are y'all stupid? I'm like, are y'all stupid? Ain't nobody got burning crosses in their damn yard and shit. Like, it's been a decade since I've seen somebody in Jackson, Mississippi get dragged down the street by a pickup truck. At least, I mean, it had been a decade before Obama got elected before I seen a headline like that. The last headline I saw like that was in the 90s. So I'm like, can we call spade a spade? And there's going to have to be some serious reconstruction in the Republican Party at the end of this.
You see, because you know what? We got to get more sophisticated with our talking points.
Yeah.
We have to get more nuanced with our talking points because in one token, we can say that this doesn't exist. That kind of hate doesn't exist at that rally, right? But you got a rally with 30,000 people there, right? So that has to
Exist. There's at least one.
It's got to be at least one. So let's be for real here, right? But that is not the gathering is greater than the sum of its parts, right? So if the gathering, if you have people that just support a guy, that's their right to support that man. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that he did I agree with. There's a lot of things he did I didn't agree with. You know, like for me, I just tried not to go in public and say that I'm a total supporter of somebody, man, because what that's going to do is, you know that if you put your faith in somebody, they're going to disappoint you. I don't like being disappointed, man. So I don't go out there. Like even when Obama was in office, I wasn't like a super supporter of him. And I'm not going to lie. I voted for him because, you know what I'm saying? I want to see what it was like if a brother became president, right? But then when you do the research and do you look into what kind of guy and what kind of president he was, the kind of guy who will go at Flint, Michigan when you have a water crisis and everybody thinks that this man is like the Messiah, and he drank a glass of water right in their face. And nobody said a fucking word about that, or how he never did. Like the other day, now Charlemagne wants to press him about what he did for the black community, man. And I was pressing him the whole time he was in office. See, what needs to happen, not to get off the subject, but what needs to happen is we need to remove all this canonization with all of these people, Trump, Obama, whoever, right? And as a constituency, we need to press who's ever in office to bring America closer to what we see and what it should be. That's what needs to happen.
I'm not gonna lie, I like populist politics because to me it means you have to be on the ground talking to normal, average, everyday people. You cannot get a proper view of society through a focus group. Yeah, like you can't do it. Like I wouldn't. I don't wake up in the morning and let a focus group tell me what I'm going to wear. So why the hell would I do it in office? I don't wake up in the morning and ask a focus group whether or not that it's reasonable to start farming this land right now, or whether it's out of season and I'm going to end up fucking my gains. I don't ask a focus group before I go to the gym and start lifting. And I certainly don't ask a focus group before I go shoot that deer in my backyard, or I go into downtown Boston for a damn Red Sox game. Like, I don't, normal people don't act like that. So you're not going to get a legitimate, you're going to be hating on my Red Sox, man.
Yeah. Why would you do that to yourself, man? Why would you subject yourself to going to a Red Sox game where you could come to beautiful Yankee Stadium and watch the Yankees in the
you know what? Hey, I will say this. There is one thing that I have not gotten a disagreement on with Yankees fans, and that, you know what? I've been to Yankee Stadium to see a game. I've been and I still rock my damn Red Sox gear too. May have been in a fight or two. Same at Red Sox Stadium. But you know what? You know what? It's not until after everybody's, like 9 drinks in that somebody gets thrown. So, I mean, there's a respect there of proper rivalry. Yeah. There's a proper rivalry that doesn't, a respect that doesn't exist in politics anymore. But I look at politics right now like a Pennsylvania team, like a Philadelphia team. Mm-hmm. We ride in if we win. We ride in if we lose. No matter what, there's going to be a fight. You better be a Philly fan, or you're going to get punched in the face. Yep. And you get punched in the face whether we win or we lose. So get ready. And that's how politics is right now. And if you're from Philly, you know what? I'm sorry. Y'all could have been better. We got Red Sox and we got Yankees on this. Y'all could have been better and been with the Red Sox.
Look, man, you absolutely right. I mean, the thing is, what is the goal? What's the goal to all of this shit, man? Like, is it to govern? Is it for us to come to a common consensus, or is it total defeat in one ideology and one side of the coin? That's not how this country was built. No, and I don't know where we've lost our way at this, man. We've lost our way.
We were built for divided government. That is actually, like, the founders spoke of this often. It was a good thing to have divided government. Yes. That meant that we had to compromise with each other. As a matter of fact, I see I can't say the worst things. I honestly can't say the worst things, because this is why I say the establishment has controlled the country for far too long. Because when I look at history and I look at some of the shadiest shit that has happened, it's had bipartisan support.
Yes, sir. So, like NAFTA, you know, all of this stuff. You know, the 94
crime bill. The 94 crime bill.
Who Joe Biden was the author of.
Yeah, everybody loves to rag. You know what? I have issues with Joe Biden for how he spoke back then. Mm-hmm. I have issues for how he wrote the damn bill. I have issues for the fact that everybody gave his ass a pass. Like, this isn't a dude that y'all would have gunned down if he had walked down the street with no fucking security in any major city in this damn country. This is absolute insanity. And I don't advocate for violence against anybody in politics or anywhere else, because that's not in me. It's not my soul. But this is a dude, same with Kamala Harris. These are people, she's a prosecutor. Since when does the community like prosecutors ever? Under any circumstances? Last time I checked, this was a black and white issue. It was like, you're a public defender. Oh man, this is a person trying to protect the community. You're a prosecutor. Screw you. Go live in the Palisades. Nobody likes you. And then you get friggin' Joe Biden. Up until he ran, it was like, this is the mega grift. This is the dude that says he's for us, and yet he locked half of us up.
Because he was able to grift off of Obama.
Yeah.
He is the Silver Surfer of grifting, bro. He grifted into the White House. And now
I'm like, dude, it took a black person to get his ass in the White House the first time. It took a black person to get his ass in the White House the second time. Don't try to tell me this dude gets a pass on friggin' locking people up and calling us super predators and saying that he doesn't want a racial jungle and all that shit. Y'all, like, all right, by the standards that have been applied to conservatives, I'm going to apply them to liberals because I apply all my standards universally. And I'm going to ask you, it's not a whataboutism. It's whether you apply your standards equally to everybody that you're talking about. It's very simple. By the definition, if you had that they use against conservatives, if you had contact, were in the same room as, shared a cafeteria as, friggin' shared a cab with a racist, white supremacist, neo-Nazi, white nationalist, anybody that had associated with any of those,
are 1,000% that.
Yeah.
At that point.
So if you're gonna say that for Joe Biden marched with friggin' John Wallace, he got support from David Duke and Richard Spencer multiple times,
and he has support from Richard Spencer right now.
Yeah, I'm like he's supporting him right now. So I'm like, by that standard. You chose a racist who says he's going to help you that has never actually helped you at anything ever in his life. In his entire term as president, as VP, was to be a hype man for Obama, which I could have picked up any hype man off the street that would have been completely. No, we could have had Keegan in the damn White House to be the anger translator and would have accomplished more than fucking. We could have had Keegan and Peel.
So you try to tell me that we could have had Flavor Flav in there being his hype man? Yeah. That would have been better than having Joe Biden. It would have been better than Joe
Biden. You know why? Because Flavor Flav would have went to damn Ukraine and he would have just said outright, put the money in my hand. Put it in my hand. We could have had Jay and Silent Bob. Put the money in my hand.
Wow.
$15, little man.
So Flavor would have went to the Ukraine and said, yo, give me that money. It's Macadocious and Procious, boy. That would have been that.
We could have had anybody. But we got Joe Biden, who's like, fire that prosecutor that's investigating my son and Mitt Romney's son and Lindsey Graham's son and half of Washington's kids also were on that board. It wasn't just Joe Biden's kids, and they were on the right and on the left, which is why you saw pushback from both parties during the whole Ukraine investigation. That's also why you saw the main people who had their kids on that board who were lucky enough to leave the board prior to the investigation. When the investigation came down,
I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that much luck, brother. I don't believe in that much luck.
It ain't luck. It ain't luck. They knew that there was an investigation starting, and they were like, "No, I'm gonna dip out."
Listen, just like that SpongeBob meme. Yo, look, I think I'm gonna head out. You know what I'm saying? You know what? I'm not mad at it.
No,
I'm not mad at it.
Hey, if you're honest about grifting, if you're honest about trying to get paid, I can't knock you for being honest. At least you were honest. If you're trying to pretend to be, if you William Wallace out here, you Shaka Zulu, you over here trying to fight for a cause, you Huey P. Newton and shit, and you're trying to fight for a cause, but behind the scenes, you're trying to get paid and you're lying about it, that's what I take issue with. So I take issue with every politician that pretends to be a populist that isn't actually a populist. I take issue with people who don't ride or die on their principles. Like, I want to run for office. I have no problem with getting shot in office. I'm like completely cool with dying for what I believe in.
Really? See,
Yeah.
the thing is that
That's
I
why
don't
I
think.
signed up. Like I enlisted in the Marines with the same mentality. Like I am completely okay with dying for what I believe in. I believe we all die. I believe there's no escaping it. And hey, you know what? It's better to die on your feet and for principles than it is to get stabbed in the back because you were running away from what you believe in.
But what happens when you get in office and you realize that what you thought you were running for and the job you thought you were doing is not the job that you're actually doing?
Burn the whole motherfucker down.
Okay, so what you
Like
saying that now? What are we gonna do now? Because
I need
the system needs to change
and the
right
thing
now.
is like I'm gonna put it like this. I got respect for Ocasio-Cortez because
Really?
whether I agree with her or not, that woman is running on principle. And she's willing to fucking go for the match, sword and shield, to tear anybody down that gets in her way. Now, I can respect that. I
She's
don't
doing
agree.
that 3 years in.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
when
I
you have a
don't
lifetime of politics, bro, it might not be that way in 10 years. And that's the thing we don't really realize
know.
about her.
Well, see, that's the thing is I don't plan on a lifetime of politics. I plan I don't like arguments and futility, but I do believe in civil service of futility. My career is supposed to end unless you enlisted in the military and you're trying to ride that out for a whole career. Which, hey, if the military wants to keep you for a whole career, they can. If they don't, they don't. Whatever. It is what it is. But as far as for politics in general, I'm a term limits guy. 12 years total in Congress. 12 years total.
On every side. Me too. I am too.
Yeah. Like I'm all for and I mean 12 years maximum and total. I don't care how you split it between the House or the Senate.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? You got 12 years. I don't care if you do like a House term and then you do a Senate term and then you get primaried out and then you do another House term because your ass is weak.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
it.
it should definitely be like that. You should have a total of 12 years in public office. And I believe it should be like that for the Supreme Court as well.
Mm-hmm.
That shouldn't be a lifetime appointment. You shouldn't be drooling on yourself and still deciding major issues in this country. Or like I remember in New Jersey, right? Yeah. Frank Lautenberg was so offended when Cory Booker ran for his seat. This guy was like 93. They were no, he literally was in his 90s, bro. They were wheeling this dude in every day it was unbelievable, man. Like he had like an oxygen tank, and he's like, "What do you mean I need to leave office?" Like, what the bro? It's been past time for you to leave, man. It's been past time, and see the problems that I'm starting to have. And I really wanted to touch on this is the fact that right now, we have this situation right now where they're claiming like mass election fraud and all of that, and somewhere along the line it's probably true, but I don't think that it is to the level to where it will change the outcome of the election. I don't.
I'm going to disagree with you. My issue is after I watched the entire Pennsylvania hearing, I watched what they just did in Wisconsin. I'm watching what they're doing in Nevada and Arizona, and I'm watching what's happening in Michigan and Georgia. And I'm sitting here going, what I see is the same type of shit that gets alleged every couple of years during an election cycle. But what I see is this is the first time the election was so close. And the fact is the politically savvy, the people who operate in politics, who are always thinking about their next grip, they're always thinking about their next run for office or whatever, they will concede because they immediately start to pivot for that next grip. People who are working on a finite plan, they're working on a finite timeline, they're working on a finite ideology or whatever. Those are the people that contest races and they fight. So I don't look at Hillary Clinton the same as I look at Donald Trump. I don't look at people that contest races and people that don't the same. I think they're entirely different people, and I think they have different mentalities. It's one of the things I love and I hate about politics is the tendency to lump everybody in together when
there's always a juxtaposition. But the issue that I'm having about this is that the hypocrisy in all of this. Like you got a Michigan, right? You got Monica Palmer, who says she would be happy to certify votes from Wayne County, but she couldn't for Detroit, which is 80% black.
Yeah.
Or how Governor Kemp was corrupt, now because he's not willing to burn the world down for Donald Trump, right?
Now,
But
I say he was corrupt before. I say
Stacey
he's
Abrams
been corrupt the whole time.
with Stacey Abrams. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
but then that was a laughable conclusion. Then see, the thing about it is, you can't. It's like mean what you say, what you mean, and mean what you say.
Yeah, this is why we're different, because we can call it straight regardless of what the situation is. I believe Kemp was corrupt back then. I believe he was corrupt as Secretary of State of Georgia. I believe he's corrupt now. I don't think that people that show themselves to be corrupt and will pay to play back then all of a sudden find Mother Teresa or whatever and say 10 Hail Marys and are perfectly fine. I don't believe like when Joe Biden says he's a practicing Catholic, but he calls it palms and not psalms. Like, I don't believe that shit. You can't friggin' piss on me and call it rain. So I look at it like, yes, was there enough fraud? Yeah. How many politicians actually would have challenged this shit? Because I can count on my hand one.
And that's so good. Yeah, and that's what I respect. I respect about him.
Yeah.
I've always respected about him. But at this point,
I see enough that I think there is enough that if he had more time, it could get overturned. I don't think he has enough time. I don't think he has enough time. He has a finite amount of time to argue all this shit. I think it's an exercise in futility. It's literally at this point a puffing up his chest. And hey, if he finds a whole bunch of fraud and he still doesn't get the office, but we get to root out a whole bunch of fraud, I consider it a win. If I get to march, say, I don't know, half of the political establishment to prison, I consider it a win. If Hillary Clinton's emails had actually got dumped and she had been prosecuted like she is supposed to be, because there are people in the military veterans sitting in prison right now for doing exactly what she did, for doing even less than she did. There are people sitting in prison right now with a felony, with multiple felonies.
The man with the gold
I want to
rules,
march all of them. You're right. I want to march all of them to prison. The way I see it, hey, you know what? You broke the law. If the law is for everybody and there is equal justice under the law, all of y'all need to go to prison.
But see, the thing about that is, if you believe that there's equal protection and justice under the law, then
I don't.
Then listen, I have a polka dot pony to sell you in my backyard, right? So,
hey, would I like it to be? Yeah, I'd like a polka dot pony too. I think my daughters would love that, but
it would be delicious.
I don't think there's. Yeah, I don't think there'd be a equal justice under the law. I don't see it, because I see rapists and murderers getting off scot-free because they have the money to afford a lawyer that fuck, let's make it simple. OJ in his first case.
Oh, you gotta bring the juice into it, man. The juice ain't bothering nobody, man.
No, I'm just gonna say OJ, one of the few times where the dude being prosecuted has as much money or more than the prosecution to prosecute the damn case, and could hire a better lawyer than the prosecution had. So he got off. Same with many of these rapists and shit. This is why I say when it comes to police brutality and all that shit, it's a policy issue. It's a policy issue, not necessarily a policing issue. When you use the police as a tax arm against the citizenry, when you force unnecessary contact with the citizenry over laws that are completely victimless and hurt society in no way, shape, or form, you end up creating an adversarial relationship between the community and the police, who are supposed to be there to protect and serve. And law enforcement is a part of protecting and serving. Law enforcement does not supersede protecting and serving.
Well, what happened was there was a paradigm shift.
This is why I say, when you look at police brutality and policy and shit, you notice the police don't go and fuck with the Karens and the Kyles and the Kevins, and they don't go into the Palisades of LA and pull that shit and pull over freaking.
We're saying that, but see, there's been a paradigm.
I watched it. They don't do it. No,
No,
why?
bro.
It's because they got the money to fight. So it's a guaranteed conviction to go into a poor neighborhood. And this isn't a racial thing. It is an economic.
It's an economic issue. But what I'm saying
Yeah.
is that what's happened now is that that's not going to be the case anymore.
No, it's not.
What like right now I'm seeing people getting slammed on their face for not having a mask on.
Yeah,
So
not. I mean, shit. We watched the McCloskeys just get got for staying on a porch and telling people not to break in their house. And I don't have an opinion on that shit one way or the other.
Yeah, but see, what is starting to happen is, man, we have taken being peace officers and turned them into law enforcement. And that was one of the biggest pieces that has changed the American society when it comes to our interaction with the police. A lot of what goes on in neighborhoods are people that are not from certain neighborhoods going in and getting jobs in neighborhoods, dealing with people that they don't understand, dealing with a neighborhood they don't understand. There's nuance when it comes to dealing with people. There's nuance when it comes to going into other people's communities that, if you notice, there's a stark disconnect. And there are a lot of these situations that happen where they get media publicized and everybody goes nuts about it, that I feel like there's one little piece of the situation that could have fixed everything, man, had they had an understanding of what was really going on, what was really going on in that community, how to really communicate with that particular person, right? But I didn't want to, I don't want to go too deep into that, but
No,
once again,
I think you 100% correct. If you want to go deeper, you can. I think you're right, because you know what? I'm gonna bring it to the culture for a minute. I don't know if anybody's ever watched All American. I love that show.
Yeah, with the kid, the football player, Tay Diggs. Yeah, watch it.
Absolutely love that show. And I hear it's loosely based on a true story. How, I mean, they definitely, the NFL players that were involved in it said that they embellished quite a bit. They added in some social justice shit, and it's Hollywood. I'm not gonna hate on your grift. At least you're honest about it. However, there was a scene where he's in Beverly Hills. He's a Compton kid. He's an exchange student in Beverly Hills on a scholarship.
I remember he took his brother to get ice cream.
Yeah, he took his brother to get some froyo or whatever, and Froyo Becky, or whatever her name was, ended up calling the cops because he was fucking around with his little brother, and they called the cops on him. He wasn't angry. There was no gang shit involved, and the cops, including a black cop, showed up and gave him shit over it. And his dad, or I should say guardian, had to be called. His football coach showed up, and turns out he knew the kid, and he was a kid that grew up, or he knew the cop, and the black cop was a guy that grew up in Compton with him. And so I just want to throw out there, the statist mentality has nothing to do with race, and has
doesn't at all. All skin folk ain't kinfolk, bro.
Yeah.
All skin folk ain't kinfolk.
You can be black and see no value in your community. This is exactly why I'm just going to throw this out there, because I love to fuck with people's personal feelings for a little bit. This is why Larry Elder, Thomas Sowell, Candace Owens, Paris Denard, any of them, while I respect their ability to make the intellectual argument in a debate, these people are like titans, because they can throw down the history, and they can throw down, but they cannot make the cultural argument because they see no value in the culture.
Well,
and if you cannot,
you got to be part of the culture to make a cultural argument. Now, a guy like Larry Ellis or Candace Owens, right?
Yeah.
What you have is a wasteland of washed up poli sci majors, and so that's their field of endeavor. So they can take a political talking point and they can run circles around the average human being. But when they have to apply that to their actual life, and you look at how they're actually living, and you look at where they came from and how they got to this point, and you can see that it's all a fucking act. Like Candace Owens was the person that she talks about and rails against. She was that person. She was that person who went and was marching and calling Al Sharpton's National Action Network for some issue she got into in high school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's who she was, bro. So you
This
get
is why
these people who
I
talk
don't
down on
trust
your
the red
community.
pills. I don't trust the red pills. I don't, because I see red pills as a baby conservative. You're not there yet. You don't got the intellectual argument, and you can't. If you don't got the intellectual argument, how are you going to relate it to the cultural
See, that's
argument?
very hypocritical, because you are doing the same thing that you say that they do in the media. You're talking down to people who are red pilled. You know what I mean?
No,
Maybe they do have a basis.
no. I mean, as a leader, I don't want to talk down to people and pretend like I'm better than people, because I'm not. I'm a very flawed human being. I'm a dude that will completely admit my flaws. Like, I'm a complete asshole, and I'm proud of it, because I mean
Here.
that's who I am. But I'm gonna say, as red pills are baby conservatives. Most of them may have the facts, but they have a very small amount of facts. They don't have the full picture. That's why I say, like, I could talk to red pills all day, but they
So
don't.
who would you
they've
consider
never,
a red pill?
Candace Owens, 100%. She's like the icon of red pills. I would say Terrence Wilson, or whatever his name is, red pill. I would say
He's not a red pill, man. He just shucks and jives, man. He ain't red pilling, bro. Let's pick
Well,
meat Markham.
Well, I'd say all these people that grifted off the fact that they used to be leftists, and then came out as straight MAGA. I'm like,
what about Kim Klacik?
Kimberly Klacik? Nah. I see her as a conservative, but after I actually got to speak with her at the Solutionary Summit. Very intelligent woman.
Shout out to that.
Yeah, very, very intelligent woman. And same with the Angela Stanton King. I got to speak with her at the Solutionary Summit.
I actually like Angela Stanton King, bro. I don't, you know what I'm saying?
I love
really
the way
like
she
her.
talks shit. I love the way she talks shit, and she won't back down when she takes a position, and I can respect that. Both of them had told me that they got no support from the GOP. So this is where, when people say Donald Trump is a racist,
that's wrong, man, because he supported Klacik.
Yeah, he supported Klacik. He supported Tamika Hamilton, Angela Stanton King, John James. He had to fight. Now, I spoke to them. He had to fight to get them on stage at the RNC. When I say he started a movement and was trying to pull people, he was trying to, like a good businessman, if you are not growing your business, you're dying. Your business is dying. Good businessmen always grow their business, because the world continues to move around you, whether you decide to grow or not. If you just stay in your lane, you will eventually die off as someone takes you over. Now, Donald Trump, like a good businessman, I don't know I'm just going to throw out the Herschel Walker and Burgess Owens and shit. I've never heard of a racist dude that lets his kids go sleep to sleepovers and shit with a black family.
Well,
like,
look, what I would say is, man, I don't think he's a racist. I think that he's a capitalist.
Yeah,
and
he's a straight capitalist.
Yeah, he's a capitalist. So the thing is, if he finds value, I think that for you to be in his circle and for you to be around him, for him to endorse you, he has to find value in you to get him closer to what he wants.
Yeah.
So you can be you could be an alien. You could be an alien, and he'll support you. And the thing about it is, he's always liked our community, because we're the famous people. He's a fame whore. He loves famous people.
So, we've driven culture for over 100 years. I mean, before we even had equal rights. I mean, Sammy Davis Jr. got invited to the White House by JFK, and then had to have his invitation taken away because Southern white Democrats didn't like
Dixiecrats.
it. Yeah, Dixiecrats didn't like it. But we drove culture even back in the 1930s.
The first American art form is jazz.
Yeah, and it stemmed from big band music, which jazz was a foundation for blues. And blues, I'm going to argue with some people who study music on here. Blues was a foundation for rock. Blues came first.
There's no argument to that. There's no argument to that, bro. There's no argument to that. How could you argue that point? Like even people who are foundational pieces of rock will tell you that. Or if you talk about anybody from the British invasion, from Led Zeppelin to the Rolling Stones and all of these people, man, they've gotten sued and lost in court because of them stealing riffs and things like that, man. So like, come on, bro. Like let's not even get into that rabbit hole.
The king of rock and roll was a blues man. Elvis was a blues man. B.B. King spoke about it all the time. I got to meet Eric Burden in California. I did security for one of his concerts. He did it at my casino, and I got to speak to him. He was a great guy.
The king of rock and roll
was
Little
a blues
Richard.
Man.
Man, Little Richard and Chuck Berry, man. The king of rock and roll.
The dude that everybody swears to God is still alive and down in Cuba sipping on margaritas and smoking cigars. You know, that like 3% of people that believe that Tupac, Biggie, and Elvis are all alive and hanging out in the islands somewhere.
They are.
I am not one of those people. I'm going to say Elvis was a blues man, and B.B. King talked about many of their jam sessions where he would come down, and a lot of his songs were blues songs he just changed a little bit on, and he was a performer, which is why, I mean, he was like the Britney Spears of rock and roll, and you can hate me if you want to, but Britney Spears is not a singer. I would put her up against. I would not put her up against Christina Aguilera or any diva, any friggin' artist. Yeah,
she's an artist. She's
Christina
not
Aguilera is a straight. There are Britney fans, and
they're performers and they're actual singers, right? There's a difference, right? Like, give you an example, right? Like we had that little, not an exchange, but we talked about your favorite Christmas song, and you said blasphemously that you like the Chris Brown one better than Donny Hathaway, but it's okay. Look, you explain, you sing it to your daughters, and that's the one they know. So I get it.
Yeah. Well, we watch this Christmas every year since it came out. It is I'm gonna admit, my wife is white. She did not, despite the fact that she loves black men. I mean, the man that I'm sure that she would probably cheat on me with is Tyrese. And I can't blame her for it. A gorgeous looking dude. However, what I can say is she didn't know anything about black culture till being with me, because no black dude had ever actually exposed her to black culture. Okay. And there's some issues with the in-laws and shit, but none of that matters. What I'm saying is, we watch This Christmas every year. We love that movie. I mean, the food, the dancing, the culture, the music. Chris, I mean, I love Idris Elba in just about every role that dude can act and play anything. I was a big fan of the idea of him playing the new James Bond. Yeah. But they're not going to do that because
they shouldn't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, depending on how much James Bond you've read and stuff.
James Bond is not one guy. 007 are different people, and we know that. Yeah. But the thing about it is,
James Bond is 007. It is very much a code name, just as 007 is a code name, and Idris Elba is Scottish.
But the thing about it is, man, is that I don't like, because that's a reverse grift right there, right? So
it is.
They do that shit, and then you know what I mean. They'll take Idris Elba and make him James Bond, and then people will get mad. Like racist people will be like, "Oh, James Bond ain't black, right?" And then if we take a white character, a black character, and try to make it white, then black people will say it's cultural appropriation, misappropriation, or whatever the case may be. So
I'm a big fan. I don't like woke washing films. Like, I didn't like taking Ariel as a Little Mermaid and making her a little black girl. I don't like the idea of taking Jake Gyllenhaal and making him the Prince of Persia. I played that video game when it came out. I beat that video game fast as shit. That and Assassin's Creed and Need for Speed Carbon, because it had the best vehicle customizations. out of all the Need for Speed games. I mean, it's not on the level of Forza, but it is what it is. But I don't like woke washing any more than I like whitewashing
Yeah.
characters.
So we
I don't.
so we got to get out of that, right? So if you're
Yeah.
gonna do a spy movie, there have been other spy movies that have come along, right? Like The Bourne Identity, which is right now. It's a great movie, right? So just give him his own vehicle. He's a big enough star where you can give him his own vehicle and have some of the same premise, and you can write the story and call him something else. You know what I mean? Maybe you could establish your own thing.
They could even hand off the MI series, which I don't know people that don't like movies understand. The MI series was, if I remember correctly, was older than the James Bond series.
The show
The
Mission
MI
Impossible.
Yeah, Mission Impossible used to be a TV show back in what was it, the 60s?
Yeah, but the show Mission Impossible didn't predate James Bond though, bro, because James Bond
didn't predate the books.
Well, you said it didn't predate the books. No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It didn't. And even on screen, Sean Connery's not the first James Bond.
No, the first one was Casino Royale, and I think it was 71.
Yeah, what 1971?
I think it was 71 or 73, or was it 63?
In the 50s and the 60s, bro. Nah, man. Nah.
Oh, that's right. The Casino Royale was a black and white film.
Yeah, so nah, dude. It's even Sean Connery's first couple were black and white. So nah, man. James Bond was definitely before Mission Impossible in print and on screen. But
they remastered them in color back when that was.
Ted Turner used to do all the bad Technicolor. Yo, man, used to do that in living color, the color classics.
See, now, that's why I'm gonna say. Now I know how close we are in age. We still remember Technicolor. I'm gonna break Ramon. Do you remember Alf?
With you, I'm 10 years older than you, bro.
do you remember Alf?
Oh yeah.
And Fat Albert,
of course,
and the original Heath Cat and Top Cat.
What, Heathcliff and Top Cat?
No, Heath Cat and Top Cat. And
I remember Top Cat. I remember Heath Cat.
There was Heathcliff.
Yeah.
They were a little bit different, but they all ran around same same premise of a Tom.
Listen, I'm gonna mess your head up, man. We'll mess your, I know we this is devolved into something else, right? We'll mess your head up, though. Yo, did you watch the Thundercats growing up?
Hell yes.
All right.
Hell yes.
Do you know who the voice of Panthro is?
Who is it?
The grandfather from the Cosby Show.
No shit.
Yup. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to be like, yo, man, why the fuck this Bill Cosby dad? His name's Early. I forgot what his real name is, man. But I was like, yo, why the fuck does Panthro sound like the grandfather from the Cosby Show? What the fuck is going on? And then I just looked at the credits and stuff when I was a little kid. I was like, wow. I was like, man, the grandfather from the Cosby Show is Panthro.
I'm gonna say this. Thundercats was like a black superhero squad.
Listen, look, man, we got to go into cartoons. There's certain cartoons that you know were black.
Yeah,
there were certain ones that you knew were black. Panther was black.
Yeah, Panther was black as shit. Like I say, my son and me, I'm not even gonna pretend that I don't, because I remember the first anime wave came over here when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And
my
that
daughter
was
loved anime.
Dragon Ball Z got turned into got dubbed in English. I remember when it was still in subtitles, and I remember when it first used to come on Adult Swim and Toonami and shit, and I had to learn Japanese to be able to figure out what the fuck was being said.
Yeah.
So you had Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball, then Dragon Ball Z.
The original Dragon Ball used to come on like 5 o'clock in the morning. And like,
Piccolo
dude, like in like, oh yeah, Piccolo's definitely black. That listen, there's certain cartoon characters they don't have a color, but they're black. Or you know certain things about them. You got to look at the layers, right? The nuance, like Shaggy from Scooby Doo was a weed head.
Yeah,
him and Scooby, when he'd be like, I don't know Scoob, and they'd go off and get high, and then they'd have the munchies when they come back. You know what I'm saying? Snagglepuss was black.
Fred was a Kyle. He was definitely a Kyle with the ascot around his freaking neck and shit.
Definitely.
And what was it? Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Daphne, she was a Becky. Is most
Definitely.
definitely a Becky. Yeah, Velma was I'm gonna say this. Velma was that nerd that we all went to school with, and then like senior year, maybe prom, she blossomed, and we are like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
See, I don't know, man. To see
You're
Velma
a
is
girl.
that one like that. You know why it's like that? Because people are perverts on Pornhub and they've turned Velma hot. So they always dress up some hot chick that looks like Velma and you'll see it or something.
You even look at like the old film, you got Daphne looks like a stick figure, which at the time was like what they consider beautiful,
Yeah.
right?
Velma
So
had
it's
ass.
not, yeah, Velma was thick, and you're like, so it's not that Daphne was hot. It's not that Daphne's hot now. It's Daphne was hot back then when stick figure models with a size 0 waist was what everybody wanted.
Yeah.
Velma is hot now when everybody wants a thick girl shaped like a Coke bottle.
Yeah. So Velma would be on Instagram right now with a fans only.
Yeah.
She'd be cleaning up right now. Listen,
I mean, I'm
Deathstroke
seeing
from
nerds
G.I. Joe
online right now with their own podcast, and they don't do anything sexual, but because they're cute and they're nerdy, dudes are like, oh my god, 100,000 subscribers and shit. I'm like, what the
whoever
hell is
subscribes, listen, whoever out in this neither world, look at me. This is the Podfather talking to you. If you subscribe to a fans only, you are a loser. You are a mouth breathing loser. Go get a fucking job. Now, listen.
This is two married men, happily married men, 17 years and 10 years. I got no interest in any of y'all fans only bullshit. That is some mouth breathing shit right there.
Yeah, you lick windows if you spend your hard-earned money to watch somebody jack off into a camera. You're a loser. Now,
dude, you could go to a damn strip club, man. I mean,
how about that? Whatever happened to a good old-fashioned strip club, man? Whatever happened, man?
You know what? They all got shut down.
COVID. Because of COVID.
See, when I was in Atlanta, I went to Magic City, and I spent
for the wings, right?
Yeah, dude, I ate 5 plates of wings. 5 plates. The friggin' women there were like, and see, now I know you're new because you ain't looked up at a girl once. I'm like, dude, I forgot y'all were here.
See, the wings are banging. It took for me for them to my homeboy from down there made me eat them because I'm like, man, listen, man, I don't want ass juice on my wings. Be like, like we get something to eat later, bro. Like,
I'm like, why are these famous? What kind of great wings can you get at a strip club? I mean, people go to a strip club for wings, and then I sat down to eat. I was like, oh my god.
I know it was life changing, bro. Because I looked at food from a strip club like gas station sushi. That's how I looked at it. You know what I'm saying? But I there wasn't any parts of it, and I actually partook. But bro, like I don't know, man. Like it's getting to the point, man, where like we have like and I want to give a shout out to all my partners. We have a blog coming out, a lifestyle blog, man, called John Core, and it's Chad, Rita. My man Anthony Bailey, he has his financial light and everything. He has the eliminate your student debt on Twitter. You guys check him out. And Rita Mansour, and she's a business coach. And we all got together. We're doing this blog. And one of the big topics that we have is social media still social? You guys got to check that out, man. Because I'm telling you, man, when you really look at what social media is supposed to be, it's supposed to bring people together, but you're inherently more isolated because of social media. We don't really interact with each other, and kids and people have lost their ability to actually how you and I, like you can tell that the guys that are your age and guys that are my age, we're the last generation who played outside. We're the last generation of kids who went on our bikes and did what we had to do and come back home and try to beat the street lights, right? I can get into a situation and handle myself in any situation and talk in any situation, right? You can too.
We the last generation that got a whooping for not beating the street light.
For real, bro.
I mean, y'all don't understand what life is like before you have to dive in the damn doorway to keep from getting a damn whooping.
Yo, it's like,
All right?
listen, it's Ferris
And you
Bueller's Day
don't
Off.
understand what it's like to have to go pick your punishment. Like,
Yo,
hey,
bro, the
switch the
psychology
belt.
behind going out and picking your own switch, the psychology behind that, bro. And then if you try to get some little bullshit, nah, take your ass back outside and get another one. You know?
Yeah, like just the having to watch. Like my mom had a belt with holes in it that sang when she swing it, made a quick as she swung, and she would snap that shit. She'd be like, and you'd hear the air whistle through it, and you're like, oh shit,
Bro, you sound like Eddie
Right
Murphy with his
before
mom
the
with the
end.
shoe. Like,
Dude, she got me with the damn shoe once. I thought I was going to act like a suburban white boy once. I had visited my mom, so I moved up to New Hampshire when I was about 12 years old to live with my dad because my grandma died, and my dad wanted to take over the house. And it was a family house. My family built that house and didn't want it to go to somebody else. So I moved up to New Hampshire, and I knew at 12 years old what it meant to have a dad because I went to school with a lot of kids that didn't have a dad. So I was like, hey, this makes me different. And I was getting lessons from my dad I could not get from my mom. It was going to
1000%.
lead me into my next. It's going to lead me into my next topic because they mentioned on the Brown Paper Bag podcast, and I think we need to take it a little bit further as two men with kids. But before we go there, once I moved up to New Hampshire, I spent a whole year up here, and I'm not gonna lie, I lived in a city around predominantly black people. Dayton is a very, very dark city, and I love it. And I love the culture, and I love the block parties and all that shit. And then when I moved up here, I didn't know how to deal with white people because I'm like, I had been told all y'all are racist, and the only white people I met go to church with me, or my dad, where y'all are related to me. So I went up to New Hampshire, and I had to deal with white people for the first time. And I tried doing some shit that like some of the kids that I met up here act like. And I went, and my mom was chewing me out, and I was like, fine. And I walked off to my room, and she curved a slipper around the damn door, around the damn corner of the wall, and hit me in the back of the head. So like
like a boomerang and shit.
Yeah. Like I had walked around the damn wall, and she's like, boy, and threw it, and it hit me in the back of the head, and I was like, shit. I forgot where I was for a moment.
But you try to play the Billy. He was like, Mom, I'm cleaning my room out when I feel like it. Fuck.
Exactly. I thought I was you start to get in that man zone. You start.
Now, see, look, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. I knew. Listen, man. I grew up around different kind of people, whatever. I knew what time it was, man. See, my mother is from North Carolina, bro. You know what I'm saying? And my mother is the daughter of somebody who, her father was the son of a slave. You know what I'm saying? My grandfather, he died, he was 98 years old, bro. So that's a different kind of parenting right there, bro. Like, my mother and listen, let me tell you something, man. Like, it's different because my parents, they weren't like lovey-dovey and like, we love you, everything. It wasn't like that, bro. It was listen, do as I say, not as I do. Children should be seen and not heard. And I will bust your monkey ass. You say anything. So my mother we knew what time it was, bro. And my mother is all of 5'1" and 110.
Yeah. My mom is tiny. My dad has been sort of cold his entire life. Doesn't really display emotion like that. My mom had to play both roles because my parents are divorced since I was like, I think about 2.5 years old when we came back here from England, and they just don't have that. It's a discipline mindset.
Yeah.
Both parents are military too. So it's like it's that discipline mindset. We expect you to act a certain way, and you better act a certain way.
It's about representing. It's about representing your last name.
Exactly. There's a legacy that you're supposed to portray to the world. And while at the same time, when I got a little Brody, you're 12 years old, you start to feel yourself a little bit. You start to become a man once you get in that 12, 13, 14 sort of range.
They call it smelling your own pee, right?
Yeah. You start to think you a man, and friggin' sometimes you go with your dad and you get put in your place, and hey, you know what, that happened too. And you end up going at your mom and you get put in your place. I will say I'm more scared of my mom than I am my dad. My dad is the type of dude that would fight you and y'all could have a beer after and discuss it like I think most men are. My mom would kneecap me and would beat me down until there's no life left. And then she will resuscitate me and do it again, and resuscitate me and do it again until I don't even, the 6 generations later, nobody even thinks about doing that.
So you were birthed by the Undertaker, essentially.
Yeah, basically. Like, you know how it is. It's one of those, women don't fight like men.
No, not at all.
Women are scared.
Because they're coming from a place of like, and not to try to pigeonhole women, right? But women deal with emotions and they deal with intellect, and we deal with physicality, right? So, we were talking about this before. Like, we could have a log in the middle of the room, and you and I, like, we got to get this fucking log out of here. Yo, Julian, you go grab this in. Yo, Jonesy, you grab that in. We're going to pick this shit up. We're going to take it and we're going to move it. Where a woman's going to come in the room and they're going to say, well, I can't move it on my own. So I have to figure out how I feel about moving it. I also have to feel about how I'm going to get it moved. I got to feel about how I'm going to feel after it gets moved. Who I'm going to have to help me. And they deal with things differently, bro. So if you get into it with a woman and they feel compelled to strike you, because 90% of the time they're going to deal with you intellectually, they're going to deal with you emotionally. If they feel compelled to put their hands on you, that you've gone way past the point of reason to where they don't, because that's normally our default mechanism. Our default mechanism is if you get into a bad enough argument with another dude, you're like, yo, man, I'll fuck you up. Forget all this argument shit, man. I'll fuck you up. That's it. Right. But women are not that way. So when they get into it with you and they feel compelled to actually strike you, bro, you in for a lifetime of shit, bro. And it's on site, and they'll never forgive you if they got to actually strike you. Not with your children, but like I'm talking about people in the street.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the lessons that my dad taught me was to, when you fuck up with a man, all you got to do is show that man that was an isolated moment. All right. And that could be just by going back to your normal the next time you deal with that man. And pretty simple. I mean, like you said, I mean, we're physical and we're very logical beings. It doesn't take a whole lot to be like, all right, look, we fought about it. We understand each other. Drink that beer. We're going to get back to what we were doing.
See, you talk about dealing with a man, right? A lot of times out here in this world with a lot of males that are not actual men. We're dealing with boys, bro. You got 30-year-old boys who can't let go of trivial shit. And you got people losing their lives over trivial shit, bro. Like that rapper. Look at that rapper, King Von. I'm sorry.
We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. But I'm saying with women, on the other hand, my dad said for every fuck up you got with a woman, you got to do 100 things right. And that 100 things, it has to be explicit and it has to be undoubtable in any way, shape, or form in her mind, not your mind. And you cannot fuck up in between accomplishing that 100 things, or you start all over.
You think so, man? Right. I mean, listen, I fuck up all the time, bro.
No, I mean, like, it has to be a significant fuck up to actually erase that 100 things. Like, so, like, I fuck up, say I entertain a girl flirting with me or whatever, and I don't intend on actually doing
that. Okay, all right.
No, I mean, I don't actually intend on doing anything, but a girl flirts with me, and instead of being like, no, in the name of Jesus, I rebuke you, fuck you, I love my wife.
Satan, out.
Say I go, oh, thank you, that's nice, or whatever, or even flirt back, just try to be polite or whatever, and then walk away. You gotta do 100 things to make that right. If you fuck up in between now and that 100 things, and it has to be enough to actually erase. Say she sees you talking with another woman out in public. Say y'all are out shopping or whatever, and it seems like you might be displaying that same sort of situation towards that other woman. You just start it over.
Bro.
Say that. I mean, that's one of those. That's one of those
How does that
situations
even happen? How does that even happen though?
all the time. All the
See,
time. I
you
mean,
know
it
what?
doesn't. It doesn't happen with me, honestly. It's only happened once with me, where I fucked up, and it was solely because you know what? I was drinking and I was trying to be a nice guy. I didn't mean anything by it, but I friggin' let the conversation go down the road it shouldn't have gone by,
What the hell did
and
you say? Like, hey, baby, I ain't Fred Flintstone, but I can make your bed rock. You gave her a corny line or something like that. What the fuck did you say, man?
nah, it was a joke that was it was a statement that was mistyped wrong and could have been because there was no punctuation or whatever, and it could have been taken any way.
Oh,
And I made a joke about how it was typed, and if you read it, it could have been because I was drinking, so I didn't punctuate it, and it could have been taken however
social
you want.
media not being social. Look at there.
Exactly. See, that's the thing that we don't write on social media and on the computer or even in text the way that we speak to each other
Yeah.
and emphasize words properly.
So let's get
But
this out of the
you
way. Like,
went down,
what do you see? Do you type something like, "Listen, girl, let me stick my dick in your ear so you can hear where I'm coming from," or something like that, or something stupid?
it was something like it's a friend of mine and we wanted to go out with a bunch of the guys and we wanted to grab a couple beers and she's a bartender at a casino and we were going to go like, hey, you know what, let's knock out two birds with one stone. We were going to go to that casino, say hi, whatever. And I was like, hey, what time do you get off? And or I'm sorry, what was it, the original comment was what time can I get you off? I mean, what time can I get?
Oh, so you pretty much said what I said, but in a different way. What time
Yeah,
can I get you
yeah.
off? Wow,
So it
that's
was
pretty
like
bad in print.
yeah. What time can? Oh no, what time can you get off versus what time do you get off? And I was like, man, I'm sorry, I didn't mean like that. And then she's like, oh, it's no problem. And I was like, ha 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 ha. No, but seriously, and I was like, no, but and then like we talked and it was like, yeah, we're gonna go and the guy's gonna have a beer and whatever. And we ended up with nobody. We didn't go out or anything. And it's all my boys or all the guys, they all work at the local gun shop, and right now is not a good time as
Yeah,
far
not
as
at
working
all,
in gun
right?
shops.
Yeah, not at all, man.
So
It's a little different. It's a lot more. Like that's why, like a lot of times, I hear you guys like you who got a lot of land, and what I mean. You live in an area that's a little more desolate. For
yeah.
me, I just need to be able to buy a White Castle cheeseburger at 3:00 in the morning. I could never live where you live. You know what I mean? Like I need to be able to like, you know what I mean? Like I can't live somewhere where like everything shuts down like that. And
Oh no. Everything is still operating. The gun shops just have no ammo. Ammo is a premium right now because everybody's scared.
oh, it's like
I
Chris
mean,
Rock was saying, if you really want to stop gun violence, make a bullet cost $10,000 or something like that.
yeah. I
It's
mean,
like, no.
so this is why I keep saying like as far as gun sales go,
Mhm.
Republican presidents are bad because when you're comfortable that your gun rights are not being threatened, you don't go buy guns.
Yeah.
When you're comfortable that you're safe and you're not threatened or whatever, you don't go buy ammo. I mean, you may do your weekend shooting or whatever, but that's not what drives you to go to the gun shop.
Yeah.
But when you think like say Joe Biden, you think the government's coming for your guns, which they said explicitly that shit's happening. Everybody's like, empty the shelves, buy everything,
Yeah.
everything's on
Yeah.
sale.
It's like a
Oh
fire
fuck.
sale.
Yeah,
The fire sale.
my buddy owns a gun shop. He's got no guns. He's like, dude, I can't get guns from the manufacturer. They can't make guns fast enough. There are people that can basically outbid me. They're higher on that list, and ammo is a premium right now. And
That's terrible.
I keep telling people, I'm like, it's been like this since the beginning of the coronavirus when there was a raid on normal supplies.
Man,
I'm like,
I don't understand
that's
what we're
there.
looking for. Like, what are we really looking for, bro? Like, you can't, like, people say, you know, you have to have this ammo to defend yourself against tyranny, right? But the
Yeah.
way you were in the military, you know, the way the military is set up at this point, if the government was going to be tyrannical, it's not a whole lot that people can do about it. They can blow a city block off of the fucking map by pressing a button.
So I'm gonna throw a little wrench in that because knowing guys all across the military and all different MOSs. I was military police, and for all you military guys out there saying fuck you, fuck you. I was not a cop that arrested people for being late for their fucking or being late back to the damn barracks or being drunk while they're driving and
It
shit.
sounds personal, bro. You
Uh,
that sounds
dude,
super personal.
Military guys, when you say you were an MP, everybody they call you buddy fuckers or blue falcons. Everybody in the damn military goes, "Oh, you were military police? Fuck you, man." I'm like, dude, I was doing that type of MP. I was a saw gunner. I carry a machine gun. Fuck y'all. Like, I deployed. I don't give tickets and shit, and I don't break up barracks fights. Y'all can knock each other out. I don't give a shit. However, my thing is, most military men are statesmen. They're not national men, they're statesmen. They subscribe, like, there are still, I mean, you can still call each other Tex or Arkansas and shit. We got dudes from down south in Louisiana that speak a whole different other dialect of English that I don't even know if you can classify it as English. It's like more Cajun and Creole than it is English. And so most military men are statesmen. When it comes to a question of whether you'd be willing to forcibly take guns from the military, they pulled the military multiple times. Damn near the entire military on the enlisted level said not a fucking chance.
Of course, but see, this is my thing. My thing is
now officers wise, it goes up. But let me say the drone strikes, the tanks, the LAVs, the infantry units, all that shit, that all happens on the enlisted level. Officers give the commands, but the enlisted are the ones that carry it out. So they're the ones with the MOS specialties. They're the ones that actually do the job. So in a lot of cases, you sit an officer down to replace that enlisted, they can't do the job. Officers are able to transfer units from unit to unit to unit without being a specialty in either unit. Their sole specialty is leadership.
yeah.
So
yeah. I understand that,
like,
but I understand that. But my thing is that we're if things have devolved to that point, man, do you really think that your life will do any justice at that point?
What was that?
What I'm saying is that as a citizen, right? Do we think that rifle that you have is going to as opposed to you having 2 or 3, right? Yeah. You have 10 or 15. You think that's going to really make a difference? Yeah. Why would if you already have
I'm going to say it like this. The entire United States Police Chiefs Association said that a forcible gun ban is not enforceable. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. All the SWAT tactics and stuff like that basically work off a 12-man unit, which is very similar to, or a 6-man unit, depending on where you are in the country or whatever, or what operation you're running. But it basically works off the idea of basic squad urban combat tactics. And in the military, who, like National Guard even, who would be forced to actually implement a lot of this stuff, it comes at an 85% casualty rate for urban combat stats of what is considered to be mission acceptable. Now, let me tell you, just going into a house of one veteran that had been overseas, that 85% casualty rate is decently likely. Decently likely.
And so I guess I don't have the background to speak on that. I just always look at it from the perspective of, I'm not looking at it from the government. I'm looking at it like, all right, we got why do you need 45 rifles? Like, Just from excess. I feel like it's almost like excess.
I say if I could afford 45 rifles and 45 kit gears, body armors,
You should be able to get that.
I would get it, and I would keep it so that anybody on my street that doesn't have a gun, if the government ever came for us, because I believe the Second Amendment is to protect against tyranny, first and foremost. And while I may be able to defend myself and my family, I would be much better off
if you had somebody else that would help.
If everybody on the block was able to defend themselves and their family. Because the fact is, based on our urban combat stats, there's a good chance that they might not have the police or powers that be may not have a squad left to come down my damn street if they got to go through 30, 40 houses to get to me. That after the third house, they're going to lose 85%. After the first house, they're going to lose
that argument. Half of them. That argument to me, right? So this is what we're saying. A lot of guys that are in law enforcement, right? Not an argument, but I'm saying
it's an attrition sort of thing. Like if you know that, and the Police Chiefs Association knows this, if you know that you're going to come up, especially in New Hampshire, we got a high gun, we got a constitutional carry, we got a high gun per capita. I mean, everybody goes through the ATF background check, which is a universal background check for anyone who knows absolutely nothing about fucking guns. You go through the damn background check and you're able to buy a gun. You're able to defend your house or whatever. There's a high likelihood, even old blue-haired old ladies in New Hampshire have fucking guns. And I don't mean Saturday night specials. I mean like 357 Magnums.
Yeah, they strapped. Yeah.
Like blow your ass right out the fucking door. We have no gun crime up here. And we don't got cops busting down the doors in the normal people's houses. They knock. Like Mr. Rogers. Like, hey, we heard you.
Hello.
You guys we heard you have guns. We heard you have heroin in there. I mean, don't shoot us. I know we're trespassing on your property, but we'd like to make sure that you're not, sex trafficking or anything. Yeah. Now, and I just want to say, when the Police Chiefs Association speaks, they're speaking from a broad perspective of you cannot enforce this shit. We cannot physically do what you're asking.
Let's see, bro, and that's my point. My point is this, right? The likelihood of the state coming in and completely just being tyrannical on that level, and people falling rank and file and going along with that is I think that is small, man. I think that I guess I'm being more optimistic, but I tend to feel like people that join the armed forces join it because they want to serve their country and they're patriots and they believe in all that America actually is. And I don't think that you can take any branch of the United States government and use the people in there, not the government, the United States military, and turn the people on the people of this country, the people that they're sworn to protect. So I think there's a very, very low likelihood of that. So the only way that it will be able to be done is like by automation, by having a bunch of computer geeks send drones out, stuff like that. That's the only way it can happen. And then at that point, then you got a point. But I don't understand this whole narrative that they think just because a guy gets elected that I have to buy every fucking gun, or like how like when COVID first happened, I have to buy every roll of toilet paper and I have to buy every thing of Clorox. And I just think it's almost like fanaticism, bro.
Those are what Sonny Johnson calls pineapple IQs, or what I would call window lickers. The people that think that one man can change their life so emphatically that they need to buy a gun, grab a gun, bunker.
And that's my whole point.
Sell all their property and move out of the country. Like, hey, you know what? I'm still waiting for all those people that said they were going to move out of the country
when Trump got elected. Yeah, and I want to just say something about window lickers.
Got elected, they said the same shit, and I'm still waiting for all of them to move out of the country. Like, at one point, y'all got to stop being hyperbolic, and y'all got to actually man up with your damn words. As far as I'm concerned, as far as manning up, which we're going to get to that, because you mentioned the difference between men and boys, and I want to get to that because I think that's important in society right now. Dude, at some point we gotta think realistically, and we gotta go with what we can work on. If I'm gonna say it right now, the Supreme Court is not a backstop to the Democrats having the House, the Senate, and the presidency. It's not. So the fact that y'all are focused, that everybody is focused on whether or not Donald Trump wins, y'all need to be focused more on whether the Senate wins. Because if the Senate loses, but Donald Trump wins because y'all were focused there and y'all were donating money there, guess what? Donald Trump gets impeached right after he gets inaugurated.
And
He gets
not for
impeached right
and,
after
and not for nothing.
in the House.
And
He could be the most successful. I mean, look, Operation Warp Speed, economy's rebounding, unemployment's dropping down. Everywhere that is working with the administration happens to be doing all right. Hey, you know what? He could and otherwise do very well. However, if you don't protect the Senate, you're going to lose. You're going to lose everything.
And that's the problem with going into Georgia and
It
unraveling
is.
everything. That's a huge problem, because now that doesn't just happen at the top of the ballot. It happens all the way down.
Yeah.
So that's something that they're going to have to deal with. So you might, win the battle but lose the war. You know what I mean? And that's what happens when you have this kind of like fanaticism, bro. The way I'm seeing it is focus on 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on 2024, right?
Groom
somebody else. Groom someone else.
I mean, I keep saying, I'm like, look, in 2024, you might very well be dealing with a actual contendable Kamala Harris.
No way. It's no way that the Democratic Party can run her, because
if she is VP for 2 years, she can, based on how the media operates, she can erase her entire term as prosecutor. As
she
DA,
can be for 8 years. There's no way that she will get elected. I don't even think she will win the Democratic ticket. And I'm going to tell you why.
I don't think she could do it without the VP slot. I don't think she
can't do it with it. She can't even do it with it because, one, we already said earlier that this country is way more sexist than it is racist, right? Then you put that piece on it, and you put the piece on the fact that men a lot of times have issues with taking direction or seeing women in positions of authority. And that's just a fact. You know what I mean? People could be like, oh, you're being a beta man, but that's just a fact, bro. And if you could look at what kind of person she is not a likable person. Every time she talks, there's nothing about her that ingratiates the people to her. There is
she's a black woman that wore soft sole Timbs.
Listen, yo.
Soft sole Timbs.
Listen, man.
Everybody acted like she was down with the community because she wore soft sole Timbs. Even Melania Trump
She wore the butters. She wore the butters. She knew to wear the. I was like, yo, is this Melania from the Bronx? She must know. Say no, but that's not it.
Like,
no.
You gotta be shitting me that friggin' Melania Trump rocked hard sole Timbs. She rocked the butters, and you got friggin' Kamala Harris rocks soft sole Timbs.
But see, bro, that's a snapshot. But when it comes to actually going into that booth and pulling that lever or mailing off that thing, it's not, bro. If all of the things and all of the underhanded things that Hillary Clinton did, right? All of the history she has, all the connections she has, if she never got elected, bro, it's no way that they're gonna elect her, because when you strip away all of that and you have to be the one that's out in front, what happens is you get eviscerated. She got eviscerated in the debates.
You know what it was? I'm gonna say this. One thing I've noticed: Kamala Harris has been able to get all the credit, and Joe Biden got all of the blame.
Yeah.
And if you notice, halfway through the election or halfway through the cycle, they started to refer to Kamala Harris as refer to it all as the Harris-Biden administration, not the Biden-Harris administration.
Yeah, she had a Freudian slip, and people start, kind of going off of it, and because it's the sexy thing.
Well, it wasn't even just the sexy thing. They did it in damn near every speech after that. And I'm like, because not because it was, I mean, they were making a joke, because I would have thought it was a funny joke if they were just fucking around, but because that joke polled well.
Well,
When people thought of it as the Harris Biden administration,
yeah.
Biden's fuck ups in his history slid off, and the fact that you had a black woman running for president slid on. And the fact is, there are many, and we've talked about multiple times, men and women don't think the same.
See,
Don't think the same.
what you got to
I
look
think
at
that,
is that what kind of policy is going to come out of this? Because see,
yeah.
this is the difference between
Well, this is why I say
2008.
me and you as men, we think differently. Economics is our love language. Policy is our love language. You know what I mean? Like
Okay,
it.
so
You don't
within
gotta. You
saying
don't
that,
like me if your economics help me, because I can still be successful whether
so
you
what
like me or
happens
not.
when they don't? See, this is the
Exactly.
thing. This is the
So that's
thing.
why I say men and women think differently. Economics is our love language, and enfranchisement and shit is women's love language. The representation is part of women's love language, because very much women are still getting first in society, very much the same as the black community are also getting first in society. So I think there's a difference in how we look at it.
See, I think it'll be different than 2008 with President Obama and why he got elected. You know, he was leaving an administration who was in peril. We had a
Yeah.
guy who was in office who was a war criminal, right? And you had the economy tanking, and he came in like a savior. You know, you had pictures of him next to Superman and all this and that. What's going to happen with this administration is that if things go the way that I feel they're going to go, is they're going to forever be known as the administration that push the state down our throats. And I don't think you'll have that goodwill in another 4 years. I really don't. Like, if people have to have a health passport to get on a plane to go fly to see their mother, or if they have to take a vaccine to go to work, or if they have to, like that, those are the kind of things that are universally things that people hate. People don't like to be told what to do. And she can wear as many soft-soled Timbs as she wants. She can shuck and jive. She can say that she's from this and that and the third. But at the end of the day, the policies and your actions is what actually matters, bro. And with the mediums that we have out here now, and everyone having a cell phone in their pocket and everyone having their own podcast, you're not going to be able to skew the narrative the way they were able to previously. And what I know about her is that she is an empty vessel, and she is for the state completely. And that
See,
is something that cannot go unnoticed.
that's what I was worried about with Joe Biden. I don't think he's a socialist. I don't think he is
He's a
a
moderate.
far. Yeah, I think he is, in his own personal views. I think he's a moderate. I think he's a statist, but I think he's a moderate. To me, the dangerous thing about a moderate statist is the fact that they always agree with the state, which is complicit in growing state power.
The biggest
Um,
problem with Joe Biden is all of the years that he's been on the cover of the Quaker Oats box. That's been the biggest. That's been the biggest problem with him. He's been on that Quaker Oats box from the 30s.
That's it. That's the bar. Right. All right. But, what I'm saying is, Joe Biden, I don't see the same dynamics with Kamala Harris I see with Joe Biden. I see Joe Biden as an empty vessel. He is very much a creature of DC. He will say whatever it takes to get elected. And I see most DC creatures like that. I mean, I'm even watching conservatives do that shit in real time.
Mm-hmm.
However, I say that Kamala Harris is not a person with her own views, as far as I'm concerned. I've seen nothing but creature from her, from the upbringing all the way. Whereas Joe Biden sort of stepped into office and then immediately he started where he was at, and then to gain power within the party, he became the creature to gain power. I see Kamala Harris, who started as a creature to gain power and continually step up that
Yeah,
ladder.
she's like the Manchurian candidate. She's like the
Yeah,
Manchurian candidate. Like
she's a
it's definitely a project. There is
yeah.
something that's behind her that's greater than what we can see. But I'm telling you, if they could have pushed her ahead, because you can tell that from the beginning of this that they tried to push her ahead to the head of the pack. That's what they tried to do. They gave her those in the debates when she attacked Biden, and it's something about her that does not resonate with people. And that's something that you can't teach. And it's something that you can't sell in a bottle. You just can't. It's the same way how Donald Trump can connect with people and people can't understand it. They can't understand it. He's been able to go from being a real estate tycoon to being on television shows and in movies and becoming so interwoven in our fabric. And I just think it's laughable that, like, yo, you have episodes of him on The Fresh Prince, and you have episodes of him on television shows, and him being in Home Alone and him cutting out his part to the movie. I think that's really disingenuous and corny, you know?
Now,
and
I'm just going to say my son was pissed at that. Now,
how did he even notice that?
I'm going to, because we have the original movies.
Okay.
We have the originals, and like, we can see that cutting down Trump out didn't become relevant until recent. So we have the original digital copies on Voodoo and shit from like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
And then once Donald Trump got elected, all of a sudden people were like, we need to cut this shit out, which only happened in like 2018, 2019.
And that's whack, man.
He's like, wait a minute. My son, I'm proud because my son, we played chess since he was like 4 years old.
Yeah.
And he's 9 now. And he can think strategically, and he's got problem-solving skills, and he can have conversations that make you forget that you're talking to a 9-year-old, where you start to get further into the conversation, and you see him, and then you take another look at him, and you're like, wait a minute, I shouldn't be talking to you about this right now because you're not ready for this.
But you know what? Kids will surprise you.
Well, I don't mean that he doesn't understand it. I mean, it's scary because I'm like, you're not going to be able to enjoy life as a kid if I continue with this conversation.
Yeah,
that sort of shit.
You don't. Once you take innocence from children, you can never get that genie back in a bottle. That's the biggest part of being the father to like a teenager. That is just, it's like heartbreaking because you remember when they were little and when they wanted to watch Elmo, when they thought everything was rainbows and stars and heart, and then once you see that innocence get stripped away in a sense is something that kind of dies inside of you as a parent. So I get where you're coming from, man.
It does, and I'm like, so he watches Home Alone, and he's at that point where he like analyzes film, where he'll turn over to me and he'll be like, "Hey, they didn't do this one in this," or "That doesn't sound right. That doesn't make any sense." And I'm like, all right, well, regular kids movies don't really do anything for this kid anymore. Like, a perfect example, superhero movies don't really do it for him. He watches the Marvel movies. He's like, yeah, the special effects are pretty awesome and everything. The character dynamics are pretty awesome. But when he looks for storyline, he's like, I don't like it.
Well, yeah, I mean, because it's the classic good versus evil. There's not a whole lot of. I mean, listen,
but,
they say everything is based on Shakespeare and the Bible. So
no shit. But he'll look at the DC comics, the animated storylines from like Batman back during the 90s and shit, and he'll be like, awesome. He's like, I love it. He absolutely loves it, and he's like, it's different because the storylines are more believable and the characters are more believable, and he can actually express how he relates to it.
Back in the day, it's weird that you say that because back in the day, Marvel was more story driven than DC was. But that was when the darker characters of Marvel were more popular. But just not even then, bro. I'm talking about just from how Marvel got popular from the 60s and the 70s and the early 80s. The reason why the X-Men were popular was because when they took them from being like a knockoff of the Teen Titans and they made them become older, because when the X-Men first came out, they were all kids. and then they rebranded it in the 80s, and then they made them adults, and then you had the dynamic. I'm sorry.
X-Force came out. I mean, it wasn't the X-Men. It was the X-Team, and it came out like around the 60s. And it was supposed to be a parallel to the civil rights movement.
Yeah,
And
well, you had Professor Xavier, and then you had Magneto as Malcolm X. But I'm just saying it was called it was still called the X-Men. I'm just talking about, because I'm a big comic guy, right? But I remember when the 90s, when they rebranded and Todd McFarlane started drawing Wolverine, and it got more popular, and they got the cartoon on Fox and all of that, right? When they did that, the thing that made the X-Men and the thing that made Spider-Man popular was the fact that they had normal everyday issues that they went through, and it wasn't just the battle of good versus evil, or the good guy always wins, or the good guy's always this omnipotent, this almost saint. Like Superman is like a saint. Like he almost has no arc to his story.
That's why Batman is better than Superman.
Batman is definitely better than Superman, but Batman's not a superhero. So let's not. No, he's not a superhero.
No. He's a billionaire with a trust fund.
Basically. But the difference, that was always the difference, and that's what made Marvel resonate with people over DC, because back in the day, Batman didn't have that dark edge to him until they rewrote the character. Batman used to be,
that didn't happen until the Dark Knight comic book, the one that Dark Horse Comics made.
Yeah, Dark Horse. It was based off of the graphic novels that they had in the 90s.
Yeah, that was back when and I'm just gonna say, if you notice, there were a lot of black people that died in those 90s Dark Horse comic books. Yeah. But Batman walked around with Tommy guns and fucking 9mm capping people.
Well, they had that's the one where they had his father Thomas Wayne being Batman and all of that, and then they had then DC kind of had to pivot, and then they had Bane break Batman's back, and someone else had to be Batman and all of that. But I don't even know how we even got here. I don't even know. I don't want to dork out too much, man.
No. The average person definitely isn't going to be able to understand. Yeah. However, back to what we were saying about men. The difference between boys and men in society right now. Yeah. Because I am going to take a point of view that many feminists might disagree with. Men drive society. If you have weak men, strong men create good times. Weak men create hard times. Hard times create strong men, and strong men create soft times. Soft times create hard or weak men. So I'm going to say that dynamic, that circular dynamic of hard men and soft times, and weak men creating hard times. I think we're in a dynamic where we have very few hard men left in a time of weak times. Depends, and man. If you could expunge on that, because we were talking about the difference between boys and men earlier today, and not to be confused with boys to men.
Two men, yeah.
Boys and men, not Motown Philly. I'm talking about boys that go around fighting people for no fucking reason whatsoever.
Listen, one sweet day, we like, no, all right, no kidding around, man. But I've kind of softened my stance on the importance of just us.
Yeah.
The thing is that I feel like in society, men and women both have an equally important role.
Yeah.
So when it comes to being strong men are that dynamic is what's missing from society, but it's not more important than the nurturing part of a woman or having a good mother, because it's equally as damaging. You can have, I've seen guys, it has to be kind of like balance, man. This whole earth, and not to sound like Thanos, but this whole earth is based off of balance. And I think what we wind up doing is, by us stating our importance in a way where it's like we're more important, we wind up stepping on the importance of the other half of the coin, man. So I never want to do that. But the issue now is that that side of the coin has gone way, 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 way over to their side, and it needs to come back to the middle. You know,
Yeah.
like you said, man, weak men create hard times, and that's what we have. We have a lot of weak men that are not standing up and being present in their children's life in the right way. You can be there for your children, and you can cut them a check, and you can pick them up on a weekend, or you can be in the house every day, right? But if you're not driving forward how they're expected to be, how show them accountability, if you're not showing them actual strength, and you're just a beta man who comes in the house and you just go along to get along, man, what you're doing is you're damaging not only what your daughter is going to expect that she's going to attract when she gets older, because girls gravitate towards the kind of men that they see growing up. They don't even realize it. Subconsciously, you got a lot of women who are with guys. They go, oh, I hate my father. He wasn't there. He was a bum. He was this. He was that. Right. And they wind up getting the same kind of motherfucker, just 20 years younger. You know what I mean? And then you get a lot of women who, like, you know, it's funny when I first started dating my wife, she used to say, you know, people used to be like, oh, you know, you remind me of her father. And I used to say, him and I are nothing alike. Right. And now, me knowing this guy over 20 years and me sitting across the table from him, we are a lot more alike than we're not alike.
Yeah, I gotta say it's the exact same. I did not even like my father-in-law initially for multiple reasons. My brother just hopped on timeline, Marcus, and he knows we had some issues, but I see my father-in-law. We are very, very much alike. I see this man as
you don't even see it in yourself. She didn't even see that in you, but that's the way it happens, and that's why it's important for us
it's a
to
dude that
be.
would second, like we seek out the people that seem to make us who we are. You know what I mean? We seek that recurrence in our lives. Like whether it's your mother, you seek out a woman that is dissimilar to your mother. We seek out a man, or women seek out a man that is similar to their father.
They don't, but you don't realize it. You don't realize it when you're younger. You don't know really what you're doing or why you're just going through it, right? And you don't even realize that. And the thing is that there's been a lowering of the bar of what you're supposed to be to actually have a woman. There's a lowering of the bar of what it takes for a woman to lay down you and think in her head, and she makes it okay with herself to have a child by you. There's been a lowering of the bar because they don't know what it looks like.
I want to differentiate, because I think being a proper man allows a woman to be a proper woman. If you take on a role of being a beta male, you're forcing a woman into being in a position where she's not supposed to be.
Yes.
Where naturally she is not. And when you create that role, you're upsetting the balance.
The natural order.
Yeah, the natural order of things. Not only within the household, but societally and everything for it. And that's not to say that there are not women that are absolute titans in whatever they do, because I've seen them. However, that is not the norm. The norm is for a woman to seek out a man that acts like a man.
Your skill set, and your skill set in the work world and the dynamic at home are two totally different things. You can be a titan. You could be Oprah Winfrey, man. You could be Beyonce, right? Beyonce's a titan on her own, right? But she probably comes home and there's a certain order of things in their home. Yeah. So you don't see. There's not this, like, I think a lot of women get the misconception that we're saying that, we don't want you to be successful, or you can't be successful. You can't. It's not that you can't do anything. You can do anything in this world, right? But the thing is that the way that you interact and you deal with the man that you choose in your home is the dynamic that we speak of. Yeah. And there's a balance to it. But the thing that my wife has never done to me is she never makes me feel like that I need to submit to her. She never makes me feel that way. You know what I mean? She never makes me feel like I'm in a position where I need to constantly prove who I am to her. You understand what I'm saying? And I think when you're used to being around a man that is not worthy of trust, you raise a generation of women who don't trust men. So they won't submit to certain things. When I make a decision or when I do certain things, they're going to always constantly challenge you because they haven't seen men worthy of giving their trust to.
Exactly. When you constantly present weak men to a woman, you force them to have to choose between weak men.
Yeah.
And if you're forcing them to choose between weak men, that's all you're going to get is more weak men, because weak men breed weak men.
Yes, sir.
And I think now this one thing that was spoken of in the women's panel on the Brown Paper Bag
Yeah.
podcast.
Shout out to Saul and Corey, man. Corey's a fool, man. That joke was crazy.
Oh man, they had me rolling the whole damn night. And Harriet Tubman and all the girls that were on there, they were spectacular. But there was something mentioned, and I think the difference between having a mom as a single parent versus having a dad is a mom can teach you. Women are natural teachers. When the men were out of the household and they were either working the fields, hunting, going to war, whatsoever, to provide for the family, the women were the natural teachers that taught morality and they taught character to the children, so that they could go out into the world and perform the subsequent roles that they were supposed to. And that goes all the way back to prior to Roman society, Jewish society, Nubian kings, all that shit. And if you go through what we have now, we have a lack of all of that shit.
Yeah.
However, all right. And just after this, we're going to argue with my brother right now. But because he's talking shit. But I believe that becoming a foundational man and fulfilling your role allows women to fulfill their role. And the issues of feminism versus first wave, second wave, and third wave and fourth wave feminism, depending on where you fall on that spectrum, that allows a man to actually become a man. When a man chooses a woman and she hasn't fulfilled where she falls on that spectrum of her journey, the man is unable to fall where they are on that spectrum of their journey. And I think that ends up creating I should say a self-fulfilling prophecy of futility and failure. Whereas you look at how men act over society throughout time, and we're typically supposed to protect, provide, and instill discipline within the household. Women educate. I think sticking into a situation where the man is not fulfilling his role and the woman is not fulfilling her role. A woman being a natural teacher, a man is supposed to be a natural example. And the example is different from a teacher. Like, perfect example, my sister's father and my father are different. My sister's father is a black man. Like I said, my dad is a big Italian man. He thought I need a black role model. I said, I have a role model of what a man is supposed to be, and my example of what a black man is supposed to be. I've seen many strong, powerful black men throughout my growing up, and I have a good rounding of what if a man is supposed to be a proper man. I don't think that's a racial or
it's not a racial thing. As long as you have a strong foundation and you're being taught properly. It's not a racial thing. I think it becomes an issue when you are in a certain environment. If you come from an environment like being a young black man and you're in an environment where you come from less and you don't ever see yourself being strong, you don't ever see yourself being solid, that's when it becomes an issue. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that you come from a place where you grew up in different places, you've been exposed to different things, it wasn't an issue for you, because I'm sure you've seen black men, you probably had coaches that were brothers or whatever that were solid. But if you come but if you come from a certain situation where all you see are guys that are doing the wrong thing, not being solid, not doing their thing, it becomes more of an issue for you. So I think that's a case by case basis. But I think as long as you have a strong foundation, That's most
Yeah.
important. And it
So
sounds like that you definitely had that.
yeah, my little brother is bringing up something. He said, I disagree. I believe becoming a weak man is a vital choice. You actively decide whether to be weak or walked on rather than being a healthy masculine man. It's not, and he's talking shit to me. It's not talking shit. It's the truth. When we blame the father, we take away from our opportunity for boys to become their own men. Um, I can't say I did as much as I would love to disagree with my brother in this. I can't say that I disagree. I think that what he expressed is the difference between toxic masculinity and healthy masculinity, as he
See,
said in his last message right here, is the recognition of what we're supposed to be as men, the understanding of whether you're standing in front of a bad role model or a good role model, and where you proceed forward. Where you proceed forward, I think, is a choice. What you're given is something that's not a choice.
see, the difference is that it's not about, you know, being weak or strong as a choice, because that's not necessarily true, because we're all born differently, right? So you have some men, it doesn't matter what they do, right? They were born a certain way. They were born in a way where they might be 5'1" and 130 pounds, and they're never going to be the most dominant person in the room, right? You got other guys
Yeah.
that, you know, I'm a big guy, you know, I mean, I've never had a problem, you know, asserting myself at all, right? So you have so if everybody's dominant, then nobody's dominant. But I think the problem in the world now is that the bar that is being set by society and the media has been lowered. That's
Yeah.
the problem. The bar is lowered. And what constitutes being strong and weak has been skewed by all of these stupid words like toxic masculinity. So if, you know, if I'm an alpha and I believe certain things and I believe that I should be certain things and I want to do certain things, I shouldn't be vilified for that. And that's the biggest problem. I think the bar has been lowered and as to what is strong and what's weak. You know what I mean? But
So if you had to describe, based on today's language, so that the average person that's working on the establishment, or I should say, the talking point version of what is toxic masculinity versus what is true, real masculinity. I know we did a version of this with the Brown Paper Bag podcast.
yeah,
Shout out to Saul and Corey.
yeah.
What would you say is toxic masculinity versus healthy masculinity?
Well, I'm gonna say this, and then you know I'm gonna have to get out of here. But
Yeah,
for me, toxic masculinity is masculinity that is based on just physicality and stereotypical strength. And you know, real masculinity is understanding what real strength actually is. It's about understanding when to apply dominance and when to apply thought and reason. It's about doing what's right, not because people are looking, but doing what's right because people aren't looking, and it's the right thing to do. There's a whole lot of different caveats. We can go on for hours about that, but I think toxic masculinity is being masculine for the sake of a projection of who you want people to believe you are. Being a real man and being a real masculine man is about who you actually are. So you get a bunch of guys who go into the gym and they juice up on steroids and they get tattoos and they put that little, you know, desecration of the, like they'll get the Punisher sticker and put on the back of their pickup truck and jack their truck up. And they walk around with a little t-shirt that's 2 sizes too small. And they want people to believe that they're masculine and they're an alpha and they're dominant. And then a guy like me who's getting older can, you know, put them to shame, or, you know, we can get into a physical altercation and I can knock them out cold. And all of that masculinity that you're portraying and all of that nonsense just goes right down the drain with that GH you're taking. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a very, very simplistic way to put it. But I believe that being a man is doing what needs to be done, whether you like to or not. It's about doing the right thing when people aren't looking. It's about actually being and personifying who you claim you are at all times. I think that's basically what it means to me.
All right. I'm not gonna lie. I agree. Um, I think that being a man, I think there's a fine line between the type of man that needs to project who he is and a man that is. And a man that has to project himself as a man isn't a man.
Yep.
I think there's
It's solidified when you walk in. That flavor, that vibe of who you are, people gravitate towards that, man. It's something that, like I said, man, it's something that you can't put in a bottle, something you can't quantify, something you can't even explain. It just is. You know what I mean? It just is, man. And no matter how many steroids you take, no matter how many women you sleep with, no matter how many cars you have, people are never going to respect you if you're not worthy of it.
I gotta agree. You either got it or you don't. You either are a man or you don't. People either look up to you or you don't. Um, I don't know if people look up to me. I don't know if people respect me. I to be honest, I give two shits. I think that's part of what it is to be a man, is that you're busy taking care of your own rather than
And that's why I know you are, because you don't give a fuck.
yeah. I think part of it is the not giving a fuck. I really
Yeah,
do.
man. Yeah, man.
It's the I like bourbon solutions. I like straight to the point solutions.
Yeah.
And
1 + 1 = 2.
exactly. And I
Yeah,
think
man.
getting that gets into a point where you're starting to get into femininity. And I don't think that's productive for our side of the aisle. I think the femininity needs to be brought by the other side of the aisle, in which we can complement each other properly and work together
Yes,
towards
sir.
our future. This has been a great conversation. I
Yes, it
can
has,
tell
brother.
everything going on, as deep as this got and as much fun as we had. We even got into comic books. I'm gonna have to bring this forward because Marvel is taking their move into the next step of their timeline.
Yeah.
And we're going to be dealing with Black Panther, possibly Siri, and we got Mandalorian in the Star Wars timeline taking their pick. It looks like they're going to have multiple series coming out, and we got DC finally starting to get in the game as grown ass adults. We might have to get into that shit too.
Yes, sir. Listen, man, you come on the Wasted Talent podcast. We're gonna do that because we're gonna start going live more. So that's how we gonna have to do. We got a pod swap.
Hey, get on Saul, because get Saul too, because I know he is a comic book junkie too, and
Yo,
we can talk
I
about
would
this.
love that, bro. I would love that, man. You guys, man, I appreciate you having me on, man. And it's been a powerful conversation, bro. And I hope everybody enjoys it. You know what I mean? And going forward, bro, we got to make sure that we do it again, man. Like, it gets Saul on, because Saul's a fool, bro. I love that guy, man.
I gotta have y'all on a rotating basis, because we have two good conversations. It's great
Yes,
to have
definitely, bro.
to be able to get some of the like bigger names on here, but I think down here is where the real happens.
Yeah.
And we need to continue this, because real conversations are what moves the ball forward.
Wow.
I
Look
will
up in another 3 years, bro. In another 3
Hey,
years, you never know
like,
how big this might be.
hey, like I said, I'm running in this next election, because not so much because I intend to win, more so because I'm sick of the bullshit that is happening in the political sphere.
Well, listen, I will be there to hate on you 1,000%. I will come.
Hey, hey, you know what? People that stay real are what keeps politicians real, and that's necessary.
Nah, I'm messing with you, bro. I'll be there to support you, man. But thank you for having me on, bro.
Hey, God bless. You have a good night. Have a good night with your family, and happy belated Thanksgiving.
Thank you. You too. You and yours, man. Same here.
I'm gonna go get fat off some leftovers. So y'all have a good night. God bless. All right, we got the 4th episode of Blue Collar Intellectual Podcast. If my little brother Marcus wants to hop on, I am perfectly okay with this. Might go a little bit later than it was supposed to, but hey, you know what? If he can make it quick, I'll make his case. I mean, so I hope you all enjoyed the conversation with Jonesy, the Podfather, the I'm the Blue Collar Intellectual. He's Pod Wasted on Twitter and the host of Wasted Talent Podcast. I can't wait to go on the show. We need to continue these real conversations, and you know what? They don't need to just be about what's going on politically. They can be about culture. They can be about all that. We can go deeper and with the political. We can go a lot deeper than what the politicians prefer that we do. And we can get to real answers that aren't necessarily attainable in the normal political discourse that we have right now. I hope to continue to provide normal, realistic conversations from what we deal with in real society. Again, a shout out to Sonny Johnson, who I credit with starting this movement. Felicia Killings, who provides a ministry aspect, who I will be having on in my next episode to talk about her book, The 1520 Rise, and her women's ministry. And you know what, we can freestyle from there based on how much time she has. And soon we have commitments from other major people in the realm like Wayne Dupree and Darrell Scott. And I hope to be able to get to the point where we can provide you with conversations that you wouldn't normally get outside of the normal sphere of conversation so far. All right. So God bless everybody. Y'all have a good night. And want to keep this going. All right. So let's end it out with a little bit of Blue Collar Intellectual.
And what kind of player am I? Am I an offensive man or a defensive man? That's right, I'm neither. I play my opponent. If he likes to attack, I force him to defend himself. If he's a cautious man, I draw him into dangerous water. See, you get so frustrated playing defensive positions, you make stupid moves you never make if you were thinking. When you come here, boy, check that shit at the door.
I'm at the top of my game, cut the check. Somebody better king me, I'm the best. Let's play a game of checkers. Better yet, the game don't love nobody. Let's play chess.